we want to do is go through each of these and again try and select the numbers that best correspond to the side in which we feel we is most appropriate. And in the end, we want to add up all the numbers, add up the numbers that you've selected from each column, from each row, and then multiply them by 5. So I'll give you guys a few minutes to do this. Okay, so if you have your results, if you could multiply those by 5, then we're going to subtract them by 25. And your answer should fall in a range of 0 to 100. Let's see. Okay, let's see. We'll actually do a whiteboard to share out our results. Okay, so if you could use the annotation options at the top of the screen, and if you fit closer towards 1, note yourself on this side, closer towards 5, note yourself on this side. And if you're in the middle, you can place yourself in the middle. Yeah, and you should be able to go to the top of your screen. Under view options. You can, and again, you'll just want to, you can make a check or put your, where you may be, or put your initial, that's fine. Okay, we got someone close to 1. Felix is on the other side of 3, so he's closer to 5. Definitely more of an individual. See, Dan's writing all the way over here close to 5. Oh, okay. So we have a number of people who are closer to 5. Okay. So you can already see here from this exercise, and we have another person on the other side of 3. So you can see by this exercise that we are a range of that we have just a range of experience as it relates to collectivism versus individualism, even within this group here. And thinking back to, let's see, and going back to this, let's see, 1 second. And going back to this, individualism values personal independence. Within individualist cultures, people are more likely to see themselves as separate from others, define themselves based on their personal traits, and see their characteristics as relatively stable and unchanging. An individualist sense of self is defined more by who they are on the inside, minimizing the influence of factors, context, and people outside the individual. And then we tend to see collectivism values as personal interdependence. Interdependence being a very important word. In collectivist cultures, people are more likely to see themselves as connected to others, define themselves in terms of relationships with others, and see their characteristics as more likely to change across different contexts. A collectivist sense of self is defined more by who they are with um, other people, or by their membership in a group. Maintaining social harmony, getting along with others, and meeting social expectations are more important in collectivist cultures. Okay. So we have one more exercise similar to this, and that is power distance. So we want to do the same thing we did with the last round. Look at each row and decide which side you're closer to, and add those numbers up. And I'll give you a few minutes to complete this. Okay. So let's do another whiteboard. I'm definitely interested to see how these go. Yeah. Uh, okay. Do the same thing again. Okay. Okay, and again, you see that we are a bit dispersed across the graph in terms of our orientation to power distance. And so what power distance is it refers to the degree of inequality that exists and is accepted between people with or without power. So a high score indicates that a society accepts an unequal distribution of power and that people understand that their place within the system. A low score means that power is shared and widely dispersed, and that society members do not accept situations where power is distributed unequally. Okay, so and again, the thing to take away from these exercises is not to paint broad strokes across different cultures and to assume that the that if let's say Dan, pick on Dan for a second. If Dan's results come out as they do, that all Americans always are going to fall in line with Dan. It really is to kind of just give us an idea and not just to like assume that everyone in a given culture is going to feel the same. Because as you saw in the last slide, Jill and Dan had very different, they had very different reactions or takes on those distribution of power. So it can definitely vary even amongst culture. Okay. All right. We're going to wrap up shortly here. Let's see. Okay, so one thing we wanted to talk about, and this is going into one of the last things we want to talk about is suspending judgment. So this is this is definitely important. You know, you've worked on understanding what your values are, the invisible and visible things that go into you making your opinion, forming your opinion. Then we've decided to take a deep dive into trying to understand how others may, and now we're just trying to manage our emotional responses in different contexts. So it's really important to manage our response in different contexts that may disorient or challenge us. And this exercise is really interesting in doing that. So if you were to take a look at this picture, quickly, if you could share some things in the chat, what do you think is going on here? Okay, homeless people using public places to sleep. Great guess. Protest. Oh, that's a really good guess. Yeah. Okay. Because we're low on time, I will go ahead and tell you. So in America, we have some very different phenomena. What is actually going on here, this is Black Friday, the day after Thanksgiving, which is a major commercial sales holiday. So the person in this picture, this is inside of a Walmart. They are not homeless. They're actually just camping out for Black Friday sales. So, at first glance, it may look as if, this person is back here just shopping, being very, maybe uncaring or unfeeling about the fact that there's a homeless person here, or it could just look out of place that there's a person sleeping in the middle of a store. But context is very important in order to form an actual opinion. And that is exactly what Dive tries to give us the tools to do. So what is Dive? You want to describe what you see, sticking to objective and observable facts. Then you want to try to interpret, and understand that there could be multiple interpretations to what you're seeing. Then, you try to verify whether your interpretation is correct or not. And of course, culture matters. And you may want to look towards a cultural informant. These could be, if you're in an ISA program, someone that you feel as if, you use as a cultural authority within their given country. but you definitely want to try to use cultural identifiers. As I mentioned, this is a Black Friday thing. This is very specific to American culture. And so I can only imagine what it looks like to someone who has never experienced that. And then finally, evaluate. This is where you evaluate your interpretation and decide what value that they have and how you feel about the situation. So suspending judgment is very important. It'll help you to keep your emotions regulated and to just make the best judgment before you say something in a different cultural context. And so finally, we're back at this roadmap. We have gone through multiple exercises to help us first to deepen our own self-awareness, our awareness of others and how they understand the world, and then managing our responses in different contexts. And so we hope that this process helps you to effectively bridge differences and that you will continue to reflect on some of the exercises that you've done here and maybe even do some research on your own to take a look at things like TED Talks that could be helpful to continue learning. Questions?
So if I may ask the question,
Mhm.
what do you think about melting pots like New York or Toronto? Do you like those cities? Because there are many cultures at one place and everybody can be a part of this society? Or do you like spreaded societies, like there's Chinatown and some other societies apart from each other?
I mean, that's a good question. It's interesting because I mean, even in New York, you it is a
Yeah,
melting pot, but you
there are
still
also
have
quotas.
what was that?
Yeah, there are also quotas for
Ye-
every kind of
Yeah,
society. Yeah.
yeah. So it's very interesting, and it allows you to come in contact with multiple cultures, and it gives those different cultures an opportunity to like learn from different cultures. So within my space and the way I engage New York is I try to take in as many different cultural opportunities as possible. And again, like I try to work on suspending judgment when possible as I come into contact with different situations. Because as you mentioned, they're different quarters, so you can enter into a different community that feels nothing like the last one. And if you truly want to engage within those different quarters and communities, sometimes you have to not judge it based off of the last place you went to or you're used to having dinner or hanging out. So it's always important to try and give a space or a community their an opportunity before making an opinion.
And if I can add to that, I mean, growing up in the New York area when I was young, the maybe kind of what you're kind of suggesting, Felix, is that when those different communities exist within a city, we can go to those communities to enjoy, to meet, to eat the food, and then we learn more about them regardless. Because if you're going there, you're going to learn, you're going to hear new languages, and so you have a better appreciation of them. So even again, you're still in the same city, but you can see those different cultures. And to me, that at least in the past, way back when, that seemed to work to melt these different populations together. I don't know how much that continues now. I mean, I know in New York, there's obviously lots of similar communities continue to exist. But I do think New Yorkers, and I think especially in New York, people that live in that city want to have those cultures, want to go to Chinatown, to Little Odessa, and for the Russian population, they want to go and see them, and not to see that they're different, but just to enjoy and to be a part of those cultures. So maybe that does work, but there's a secret ingredient, which I don't know what it is, that seems to make those communities come together a little better. I don't know. Keenan, there's another question in the chat. Do you think health should be expressed and considered?
Yeah, that's interesting. I do think that health could be potentially visible and invisible. There's probably some aspects of um, that, but health can be tricky. Like, let me give you a good example. I work out a lot. I'm very active, but I still have underlying health issues. Last year, I found that I had hypertension, and it's like the weirdest thing to everyone that knows me because I run a lot and I eat healthy. So you wouldn't be able to tell. So visibly I look fine, but I'm not, but I do have underlying health issues. And that can be a tricky situation. But there could be someone who maybe well, I know someone. I have a friend who's a bit overweight, but he does not have hypertension or diabetes. So, you know, it can be misleading. You have to, but I'm sure there are other situations with the health that could be visible and invisible as well, flipped around. But that's a very, very good point. I do think it could switch around. Huh? Now it makes sense with Black Friday. Okay.
Well, and if I could, I would like to add to that too. We had a debriefing with interns who were completing their internships recently last week, and one of them was a journalist, and he was saying that he felt like he didn't succeed in his internship because the stories that were published, he published 6 stories in the news outlet that he was working at, but he said that he was not able to provide the full understanding of what he was reporting on. And that's because it's hard for a reporter to do that. First of all, they have their own perspective, but they're also reporting on one angle of an issue. And so he felt he is actually changing his career to become a solutions journalist, which I had never heard of before. But you know, he was disappointed that he couldn't do justice. He wanted to give his audience the full range of ideas and interests on a topic. So with that suspending judgment picture, I think to me was very powerful. When I first went through that exercise, I am quick to get angry, and when I see a picture, I automatically react to it. You know, whether it's, you know, a beautiful scene or whatever, or a terrible scene, I react to it. And I have found that I am stopping and doing that. And we need, because so much news is delivered virtually right now, and you see a picture and it makes you react in some way, you know, think about that dive exercise, step back, better understand it. You can still come out with the same initial response that you felt. It's not a problem, but make sure that if that's the real thing you feel, you know, then that's fine. You've thought about it and you've come to your own judgment, and you're ready to and then you can continue. And maybe that picture will make you look for other pictures about the same topic that's there, and in this way you'll have a better scene of what's going on. So it's interesting. In some of the protests we had in the United States last year, there are parts of the cities that were, you know, certainly, you know, in the difficult times of people arguing and fighting with each other, and literally, you know, 20 yards away, there was nothing. So you felt like, as an outsider, thought, oh my gosh, this whole city is just falling apart. And it's like, no, it's just this 2 blocks, you know, and it's 100 people. And yes, it's still an important thing, but it's not the entire city, you know, becoming embroiled in a conflict that is very difficult, that we're still dealing with and still trying to understand and get through. So that's all I'll say.
Yeah, and I actually wanted to pick up on that. Going back to some of the discussion yesterday, you know, we live in a data-driven world, and there's so much information that's out there. You know, there's way more material on the internet today than was on the internet 10 years ago, and so we're always trying to decipher information. So the suspending judgment thing with the protest piece that Dan referenced last year, there were a number of things that were shared in the media, and it could have been a picture from another protest, and someone could share it and say it was part of a different protest, and it riles you up, it makes you angry. You go on social media and you share it, and then you recognize later that you reacted to something that wasn't even the same protest or in the same situation, because you didn't take the steps to verify and figure out what was going on. So this has wider implications, not just for how you interact with when you're visiting into a different country, but, you know, just thinking about context matters, and you're going to be like inundated with a lot of information virtually and in person in international context. So try and always, before forming an opinion, whether it be online or traveling, try to form an opinion with well-informed opinion before you allow your emotions to get the best of you. Okay. But I hope everyone was able to get something out of that exercise. We are going to take a quick break unless we have any other questions, and then we will come back with our next session.
Thank you, Keenan.
Поле, я ж мало. Поле, так мало. Как пройти по полю из огня? Как пройти по полю, если ты одна? Ждать что-то ручки. А кто подаст мне ручку, девочки? Испокон веков, с ночи до утра, с ночи ждем мы корабля. Очень ждем мы корабля. А чё ждать? Встала и пошла. Every Russian woman needs to know you're strong enough to bounce against the wall. Every Russian woman needs to know you're strong enough to bounce against the wall. Что там хорохорится? Ой, красавица, ждешь своего юнца. Ой, красавица, тебе уж за 30. Алло, где же дети? Ты в целом красива, но вот похудеть бы. Надень подлиннее, надень покороче. Расслабь без отца, делай то, что не хочешь. Ты точно не хочешь? Послушайте, правда, мы с вами не стадо вороны. Прошу, отвалите. Теперь зарубите себе на носу. Я вас не виню, а себя я чертовски люблю. Борются, все по кругу борются, да не молятся. Сын без отца, дочь без отца, но сломанной фэмили не сломать меня. Every Russian woman needs to know
All right. Thank you very much for stretching and coffee and having some coffee or tea or whatever. Again, you guys are in your afternoon. We're just finishing our breakfast. So our next session, as we start moving into the more tangible activities of the ISD world, we have Jan Zajíček, who will talk about the title of his presentation is Make Things Happen, Motivation and Member Raising. This is a really, 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 really important topic during the COVID time, because it's hard, obviously, for us to translate and to communicate the value of participating in an ISD program when people can't travel or when there is less global mobility. So I'm looking forward to hearing Jan's presentation. And again, if you can type questions in the chat if you'd like, otherwise we'll have questions at the end. So Jan, thank you very much for joining us from, are you in the Czech Republic today?
Yes, I'm in the Czech Republic.
Excellent.
You. Excellent.
Thank you. Welcome.
I will just share my screen somehow. What is this one? Do you see the
there
presentation?
It is. Yes, yes, we do.
Thank you.
And I'll monitor the chat, because I think you can't see the chat when you're presenting. So again, if people have questions, please put it in the chat.
Okay, I'm trying to somehow open the chat. Where can I do it, please?
It's the bottom right. Yeah. Otherwise, I don't know if you can see it when you're presenting. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Maybe here.
To the right.
Oh yeah, I just opened the special window for chat.
Perfect.
But do you also see the chat, or do you see just the presentation?
Yes. No, I see the chat as well. So
okay,
you can focus on the presentation, and I'll ask the questions.
Yeah. Cool. Actually, maybe I have a solution for it, but whatever. So hello guys, and welcome to my workshop, or let's say presentation, Make Things Happen, Motivation and Member Raising. Yeah, first something about me a bit. So as I already said, my name is Jan. I'm 27 years old and I'm from the Czech Republic in Europe. I'm already graduated, but during my studies, I've been a member of ISD Czech Republic. Currently, I'm still active in some way, what they allow me, and that I'm a member of supervisory board and doing kind of advisor anytime they ask for help or my opinion. Before we begin, or let's say I will sum it up, I was expecting a bit more participants of this presentation. Last time when I did an online presentation, there was around 40 or 50 people, and it was really hard to handle the questions and everything. But still, I decided to make it a bit more interactive. So if you could open in another tab at your browser or on your phone, or if you are connected through the phone, it's going to be a bit difficult, but if you can open this website, it's slide.do. There should be kind of window where you can enter the code below, which is 986227. It will help us to make that presentation a bit more interactive. There is also a slot for Q&A where you can write your questions, which will be shown in the end. And also you can like questions of the others. So the questions with the most likes are going to be on the top. So I will answer them first, or for sure. So a bit of time, but I think you can do it even during the time I will speak. So it's slide.do, and this is the code. So let's move. What is motivation? As Dan said, it's kind of important and crucial topic during the COVID times. I hope I will fulfill your expectations on its presentation. And that's the thing. What is motivation? Because each of us has different motivations. So my first question through the Slido is, what does motivation mean to you? If you open the Slido, you can write there the open answer, and it should appear in front of all of us. I hope it works. I tested it just on myself, so it's like when you hear the word motivation, or when you talk about it, what's the first would come up to your mind, or what does it mean to you when we talk about the motivation? Getting people to do something you want them to do. Believing that something is important. This might be coming from the inside, but also one of the outside. Drive. Nice. But getting people to do something you want them to do, it's like on the edge, because it's something what you want them to do, but I think the more important is that they also want to do that. A reason to act or behave in certain ways. Through that. I'll give a bit more time. Anyone can express themselves. Okay, I think we can move a bit. I will give big general expression or general explanation what motivation means, but I think that it sums up all of your answers. Motivation is kind of internal energy which drives a person to do something in order to achieve something. It is a temporal or actually dynamic state within a person which is not concerned with his or her personality. Motivation is drive to achieve your goals or needs, and it is influenced. It's influenced by how much you want the goal, what you will actually gain from that, and also from your personal experience. And why is motivation important? Motivation is important because it provides you with goals to work towards. It helps you solve problems, helps you to change old habits, and helps you also to cope with challenges and opportunities. We'll talk a bit more about motivation. There are two types of motivation. One is intrinsic motivation, second is extrinsic motivation, or you say, if you want, internal or external. The intrinsic motivation, it's a kind of motivation when the individual is being motivated by internal desires. That means that you do something because you enjoy or you are interested in that activity. It can be, for instance, that you read historical novels, historical books, because you love the stories. Then we have the extrinsic motivation or external motivation. That means that you do something because of the outcome. That again, example that you learn English because you know that you will need to get it to the university, or that you need that within the IST, for instance. Usually a person has both of them, but one always dominates. And if you work with the motivation of your own or with the motivation of your members or co-workers, it's always hard to define who has what type of the motivation. Let's talk a bit about theories of motivation. We'll go through this maybe a bit faster than it deserves, because I think that theories deserve more, like another 45 minutes just for themselves. Theories of motivation, one of them is Maslow's hierarchy of needs. I believe that probably most of you know it, or at least heard about it. The needs are categorized as 5 levels. Yeah, 5. 5 levels of the lower to higher order need. People first must satisfy the lower order to, like, in the hierarchy, and then they can go and satisfy the higher order needs. It goes from the physiological needs, which can be anything like from food, drink, shelter. It can be also sex or physical comfort. Then you get to the safety needs, like job safety, and then you get to the friendship and family, etc., etc. To the self-actualization. It means to become the best of you what you can. And we have, I always lose my mouse, the Herzberg's 2-factor theory. It is a critical incident method. This theory was or is based on that they did interviews with 200 accountants, and they asked them 2 questions. One was, or the first was, when did you feel good about your job? And the second one was, when did you feel exceptionally bad about your job? From that, they deduced that job satisfaction and job dissatisfaction are created by different factors. These factors are motivator factors, which simply put, these are factors that lead to satisfaction and motivate employees or members to work harder. Examples might include enjoying your work, feeling recognized, and also some kind of career progression if we would talk about a job, not just about IST. The second factors are hygiene factors. These factors can lead to dissatisfaction if they are absent, or to the lack of motivation. Again, examples that can include company policies or organization policies, benefits, relationships with others, or especially with managers, and also salary. And then we have a Hawthorne effect. It was first described by Henry Landsberger, who noticed a tendency for some people to work harder and perform better if they were being observed by researchers or others. These are theories that create the base for people to work with their motivations. Then there are benefits of motivation. Oh, yeah, should be again with the Slido. Yeah, there are some benefits of motivation which are generally decided by experts. It's of course a need satisfaction, that is satisfy your need, your wish, or your goal. Also, it's job satisfaction, it's productivity, learning, and discipline. Again, through the Slido, it's up to you. Which benefit do you consider the most important? I think I've said it just for one answer, so let's see. So does anyone else want to click on which benefit they consider the most important? If not, okay. So we have kind of draw need satisfaction and productivity. This kind of, let's say, exercise or voting for productivity getting in the lead. This whole kind of exercise wasn't about that who is right and which benefit is best. They are actually all equally important. We just each of us have different motives, different drives. But if I can say, but in my personal opinion, first of all, people. As we all know, in IST, we don't earn money for that what we do. So we must know how to connect with people, that they feel the IST spirit, etc. People in IST create a good atmosphere in committee and in the country, and this good atmosphere creates a motivation for people to do their tasks. So as we don't earn money for it, I think that people and the IST spirit should be the first thing which motivates people to be in IST, and what is also one of the best benefits of IST itself. I can speak for myself that even though I've already graduated, I can't completely detach myself from IST, and it's because of the people and what they do or what we do for the world. Whether I joined online now during the COVID times or in person at the national meeting in June, I also joined the national meeting in September, or I met our president, Thomas Faulkner, like a month ago when he came to Prague for Prague European Summit. It always creates a sense of belonging in me and motivates me to keep working just a bit more, to keep working. So yeah, each of us has his own or her own motives and drives, but I think that we all can agree that people play a very important part in motivation. There's something in chat. Was Thomas also at the Prague Challenge? Yeah, to be honest, I don't know. Unfortunately, I missed this year's Prague Challenge because I already had plans, and the Prague Challenge happened in a different time. And I don't think he was there, because when he told me his plans after the summit in Prague, I was really impressed, because he's a very, very busy person. He told me, yeah, I will go to Vienna and then meet United Nations, then go there and there. I was like, wow. And then at the same time, he's leading. He's running our organization as a president. So that was my opinion. You expressed yours. This was my opinion. Now, there are many ways how to motivate others. One of the most used is you do something, you get something. I think you probably already met with that kind of motivation. I think it works a lot even within IST. You are active in our committee, and if you're active, you can go, let's say, for a conference, or you can do something with trainees, like that you can join them to go, I don't know, bowling or whatever. or to go for some event such as a Prague Challenge. But be aware of not doing the carrot and stick way of motivation. That's very similar to that you do something, you get something. Because you do something, you get a carrot. But if you don't, I will punish you. That's the difference between these two ways of motivation. You do something, you get something, it's okay. It's well used in the normal life. But if you don't do something, I will punish you. I think it's not the way how it should be. So never this way. It's threatening people with punishment. So they are not motivated by the result that they do something, but more to not be punished. Yeah, that was with a cross. Getting motivated. Where's my mouse? First, we will talk about motivating ourselves. Most of the people struggle with the motivation, especially now. And it's even more challenging if you have some mental health issues such as depression or anxiety. So I will give you some tips how you can get motivated on your own. It's set yourself one specific achievable goal. Then think about how to include it in your life, what you need to do to make it happen, and then put a time frame on it, such as a week or a month, or it can be even a year if you talk about the long-term goals. Then break your goal into small, easy tasks, and you can set regular reminders. Now we are talking about anything you can get motivated for, exercising every day or for anything else. It doesn't have to be just within IST, of course. Then use your friend and family as a support. Tell them about your goals and encourage them to help keep you motivated. Because sometimes it's really hard to keep on track, to stay motivated. And as I talk about staying on a track, I'll give you also some tips, ways to keep on track. Make your goal part of your routine by using a diary or app for reminders. It can be also self-talk. Yes, really. Positive self-talk is important and effective in managing depression or anxiety. I can say that sometimes I have my own self-talks, but also you could have noticed in the recent Olympic Games that some of the athletes, whatever, were talking to themselves before the performance. Also, mindfulness helps keep you relaxed and focused. And reward yourself when you complete some step or goal. Of course, if you want to get motivated to exercise every day or more often, don't reward yourself with a cake or something like that. It would be counterproductive. Don't give up. With this slide, it always stops moving. Oh, cool. Always stay motivated. Regularly review your goals and progress. I think progress is a great motivator in itself, and also improves your self-esteem. Continue to set new goals. Think about that, what you want to achieve next week or next month, but you should also tackle just one goal at one moment. You should tackle just one goal, but so you don't feel overwhelmed. But if you see that you manage quite well, you can set yourself more goals and more goals in the same time. Keep going, keep the momentum. It takes up to 3 months to develop a new habit. So keeping the momentum and routine helps makes more automatic over time. You can also find mentors. It can be either alumni or professionals. When I was president of my local committee, we used a professional mentor to help us run the local committee or to keep us motivated and how to work with strategies and whatever. Finding a social or support groups with the same interest can also help you the same way as finding a mentor. And surround yourself with positive people. I don't mean positive with COVID, but positive like optimistic. Positive friends and family enhance your positive self-talk, and which also helps to manage the symptoms of depression or anxiety. Okay. Last slide with these kind of tips is what to do if you lose motivation. If you lose motivation, setbacks or failures are normal. Everyone does them. But developing resilience can help you carry on and pick up where you let off. Here are some tips to help you to find your motivation again. It's review your goals and see if they are still realistic in the time frame you have set. You may need to break your goal down further into smaller and more achievable goals. Remember why. Why you want to get motivated or reach that goal in the first place. Take motivation from others. Feel inspired by reading a book, talking to alumni, to your family. It can be also to your friends and to your mentors who have reached similar goals to the one you have set. Sometimes you just need to take a break and start afresh. Then now we just talked about how to get motivated by yourself. Now we will talk a bit about motivating others and creating motivating climate. We've already talked about the ASTI spirit and the importance of people factor at the committee, for instance. Now let's talk how to create a climate for proper motivation among members, the president, manager, or anyone has to create or do that to recognize each member as a unique individual who is motivated by different factors and different things. Also identify the individual and collective value system of the unit, and implement a reward system that is consistent with those values. Also identify unmet needs that can cause dissatisfaction. Should also encourage members to stretch themselves in an effort to promote self-growth and self-actualization. Encourage also the mentoring and coaching with the members, and devote some time and energy to create an environment that is supportive and encouraging to the discouraged individuals, members. It also create a competitive climate through the recognition of good work, that they'll be more productive, and also productive climate through your personal example. How we behave, that always motivates others to work harder. Just, yeah, I'll keep my personal comment. And also climate approach, which approach problem solving rather than avoidance the problems. But how to do it? How to find out motivation of your members or employees? It can help with motivation interviews. We already know that we have two types of motivation, internal and external, or intrinsic, extrinsic, as you want. The aim of motivation interview is to find out which type of motivation is dominant and what specifically the person enjoys doing. So if you are secretary or if you are president, you usually work with a smaller group of your members who then delegates or work with other members. It can be that you are in a board at a local committee, I don't mean the ASBL global board, and then each, at least it was my personal experience, each of us has responsibility for, let's say, the job raising manager or for the fundraising or the PR managers. So the president or the group of board didn't have to work with all of the members in the same time. It was like split a bit in a hierarchy. So whenever I will keep back on the track, I just move to the side. Motivation interviews. For that motivation interview, you can use current activity. For instance, there's a person that takes minutes during the meeting, as meeting, national committee meeting, doesn't matter, and ask him or her what the person enjoys about the activity. Then analyze the answers. Can be that the person likes to analyze what is being said and then look for the best way to note it down. So his or her internal motivation is stronger as he or she is motivated by analytical tasks. Or the answer can be that the person wants others to be able to read what was going on in the meeting. So his or her external motivation is stronger, and that he or she is motivated by making other members' lives easier. Of course, this was a really simple example. Usually, you need to ask more follow-up and specific questions to get information you need. We use these kind of motivation interviews at our local committee. Or I also have the experience of being regional coordinator, so I use that with my regional team as well. Then you use that outcome of the motivation interview. Knowing your members' motivation, you can actually assign them tasks or highlight parts of their current job description that will motivate them. For instance, if your exchange coordinator has stronger external motivation, then he or she needs to see the result of their work. Take them or take him or her to see the incoming trainees, for instance, to satisfy their need, satisfy their motivation. Yeah, still have time. Then I want to talk a bit about gamification. What is gamification? gamification is a concept of applying game mechanics and game design techniques to engage and motivate people to achieve their goals. Gamification taps into the basic desires and needs of the user's impulses, which revolve around the idea of status and achievement. You can see on the slide, more than 90% of the employees are more productive with the gamification, and they also enjoy it a bit more. I will confess that I wanted to use during this presentation, during this workshop, kind of gamification, but as I thought it's gonna be way more of us, and because we all have to speak into the microphone, I was like, yeah, that's not probably gonna work with that thing I was planning. That was that I was planning to put some pictures of animals through the slides. Anytime when you would notice an animal, you would have to make the sound of the animal as fast as you can, and kind of similar games. That's one way of gamification we can do, but also I know example from IST Austria, when they use gamification for the job raising, that when they had like a calling sessions to call the companies and to get jobs and internships, they had a list of tasks to do during the call with the company, to what to say during the call. Something in the chat. Oh yeah, sorry, 10 minutes. Yeah, I'll move a bit. What they have to say during the call. I don't remember exact examples, but it had to be something like always something funny and really something what you would never say to anyone from the company, and anytime you said it, you get the points for it. And they made like a list of with the score, and they were like competing among themselves, and it was actually funny for them. So the whole local committee wanted to join the game and play with that, and at the same time they were doing the thing they had to do. So they were productive, they were getting jobs and enjoying the game and enjoying the thing they were doing, the calling itself. I have also some examples of gamification. Educative example is also Duolingo. I think some of you might, or maybe most of you might know it. It's a really nice example of gamification. You reply, you want to achieve something to get some status. There was example from my own Duolingo. There's also professional examples that some companies use gamification to educate their employees. This one is from Hungary, from PwC. And this is just 45 minutes. I knew that there won't be enough time to do some practical part, but I thought you could get more homework that you can try and think how to use motivation, let's say for better time management, for else motivation, or you can try to gamify your job raising, IST International Evening or national meetings or normal IST meetings, or how to work with new members. With anyway, I know that I didn't give you so many examples of the gamification, but really 45 minutes is not enough time for describing everything. Like I've done once a gamification presentation, but itself it was for 2 hours. So maybe you can text me whatever. And because we don't have time, I will move. Yeah, member raising. I know this workshop was called Motivation and Member Raising. I was also asked to do that like together. I even told to the jump coordinator that it's impossible to do such two topics in 45 minutes. I have deliberately saved member raising until the end in case there's time left. That instead of doing the presentation or workshop, we could open a discussion on how you do the member raising in your country or in your local committee. That's also because some countries in IST have members only on the national level, so they have no local committees. Some countries are student running, some countries are led by professors, some countries have even paid staff, at least what I know, by the government or something like that. Each such member is recruited quite differently. So I think that's really a hard topic to do. That's why I left it until the end. And I'm sorry to say, but I think we'll not have time for it. If you'd be willing to do it, you can, like, we can do something just to call with each other and discuss that. Then, because we're running out of time, here could be the questions, like the Q&A, but I see that no one put any, but because it's how much of us, or how many, 9 of us. I think if you have any questions for the presentation, or if you want to discuss the member raising, I think that now it's the time to do.
Does anybody have any questions or comments with regard to member raising? Or I want to suggest what they do in their countries? I mean, in the United States, we are a national committee run out of a national office. And so our members look very different. Our members tend to be universities themselves as members, and the universities do the recruitment of the students to participate in the program. Now we have, of course, we have students from many, thousands of different universities in the United States, but the universities themselves recruit their students and to participate in our program. One of the challenges we have, though, is that those universities are supporting their students to do an international experience, period. And so we are one of several providers or several programs that they work with to offer opportunities for their students to travel overseas for an internship. So it's a real struggle sometimes with us, because we even though we're working directly with the university, which recruits the students, we're competing against other organizations to have those students select our programs, which is why we kind of rely on our relationships with the ISD member countries that we trade our positions with. We rely on them a lot to work closely with us to make sure that the students that get nominated have responses, and that the process goes well. So for us, we're very we really take this membership, the international membership, very seriously. But for our own situation, again, most of our members would be universities and, of course, alumni.
Thank you. Does anyone else want to share their way of member raising? Or I can say for my country, for IST Czech Republic, we are the student running country. So I can't say all of the members are students, because we have one local committee which is led by a dean of the university. So our members can be students, either students or anyone from the academical part of the world. So our members are usually raised or recruited through the stands at the university, or I know that at least 4 of our local committees get most of the members from that. They organize a get-to-know camp for the faculty or for the university. We still do it even at my local committee, that we do a get-to-know camp for the Faculty of Civil Engineering. And of course, there are some tasks to do, and of course, a lot of parties. And the students are really excited about that. Yeah, I want to do something like that as well. So they join IST, then they see what we really do. And that's like internship and job raising, and that they can develop their other skills, like communication with companies or presentation skills and anything, and they realize, yeah, I actually want to do that, not this party that much. And that's like how we raise the most of our members in last 10 years actually, since we do that get to know camp. So yeah, our local committee is more like a civil engineering committee. What about anyone else? If not, I have last minute. So no one else want to say there. Then I have still one last thing, and it's feedback time. It won't take much time. It's also again connected to the Slido. So ask like how to rate this presentation, or if you have learned anything new. It's like anywhere at the Google ratings, anything that like 1 is the least, 1 star is the least, 5 stars is the most. Thank you. It's really nice of you. Thank you.
Hey, you deserve it.
No, thanks.
Well, thank you, Jan. I think it's you've given us a lot to think about, but I really like the kind of the core that you had at the beginning by saying, it's the people in the ISD spirit. We have to remember that we are all people, and we're trying to support each other, and we're trying to provide great opportunities for all of our members, whether they're students or university faculty or deans or our host employers. So it is important to remember we're trying to affect lives in a positive way, and there is a great ISD spirit. I cannot begin to tell any of you, now that I've been in the organization for more than 20 years, it is unlike anything else. I can't even describe it, but it is wonderful when you go and you have the opportunity to go to another country, and you happen to contact the ISD committee, and they'll they insist on having you for coffee or a beer or just taking you out or meeting you. It's just and then you get together, it's like, wow, it's so good to see you. So I really do want to point out the ISD spirit. But one of the other things that Jan mentioned, and we've heard it yesterday, we heard it, throughout the conference, is this idea of mentorship. And mentorship can be formal, as Jan talked about, or informal. And all of the speakers that you had at the conference, at the JUMP conference, have provided their contact information in their presentations when they had presentations, or in the chat when they didn't have presentations. That means they're giving you the possibility to reach out to them. If they didn't want to hear from you, they wouldn't give you their email addresses. So feel free, if there is somebody that inspired you. One of our speakers talked about yesterday in the Career Center, talked about, following a person who was writing an article, and reached out to that person so that they could, learn more about that topic that they're writing an article on. So you have to be proactive about it. If there is someone who either thinks like you or has had an experience that you think you might want, and if they offer to be a contact for you, by all means, to reach out and touch them. See, Jan just put his email in the chat if you haven't seen it. So again, and with all the experience that he has, and again, he's no longer a student, but he's still very much involved with ISD. So this is an opportunity for you to reach out to people, especially if they're not in your home country, so that you can start learning some of the systems and practices and opportunities in other ISD member countries. So thank you very much, Jan, for your presentation. And
thanks for the opportunity.
Yeah, we look forward to seeing you in Vienna, hopefully. Well, maybe we make a side trip to Prague. Are you in Prague?
Yeah, in Prague.
Okay.
Actually, when Thomas told me about that in Vienna is going to be even the alumni part, I was like, yeah, again,
yes,
finally.
Oh, excellent. Yes, please. We will see you in January then. We'll make it happen.
Amazing.
So thank you for your presentation. And then we're just going to have a little bit of a social activity in between. We're going to show a video on cooking by an alum, ISD United States alum from way back about 15 years ago. So she will present her information on making soup. And then after that, we will have another presentation for marketing. So you can join, you can take a time to go to the bathroom, whatever. But since I watched her do this, I can tell you it is a really good product at the end. So we'll be back in about 20 minutes for the next session. And Jill, if you could get the video started, then you can see Dawn's presentation.
I'm here with Dawn Welsh, and she is making Maryland crab soup, and we're in her house in Havre de Grace, Maryland. It is a rainy day. The remnants or the outskirts, whatever you call it, of Hurricane Henri are affecting this region. So we're in here making a great Maryland crab soup. Oh, I'm sorry. She's making a great Maryland crab soup. Hey, Dawn, tell us a little bit about your crab soup.
All right, so all the things I have here are actually local Maryland, Harford County produce. We have fresh corn that I just shave off the cob. These are green beans and white beans that you just snap and then cut into segments. This is tomato juice that I canned last year, so we're gonna use that, which is absolutely yummy. If you don't have tomato juice, you can just use canned tomatoes. And then these are Maryland crabs. So we will go through how to kind of pick one apart. And then you actually will use the shells to make your broth for the Maryland crab soup. And
So now that it's in the oven, Dawn, oh wait, did you just take a sip of wine?
I did.
Maybe you want another just in case, because you know,
Wine is perfect for cooking.
especially in a rainy day. And by the way, it's a hot rainy day, not a cold rain.
Maryland, hot, humid.
Summer,
sticky.
horrible. Bleh.
If you drink while you cook, then you don't mind if you have failures while you're cooking.
This is
There
good.
are definitely times I have failures. So,
Now, do you have failures because you drink?
never. All right, so we're gonna pick a Maryland crab. This is what a Maryland crab looks like. So you've got the claws. And first thing you do,
And remember, Maryland, I mean, there's a lot of different kind of,
yes,
Maryland
this
crabs
is-
are very different than other types of crabs, and Dungeness and other types of, Gulf crabs and stuff like that.
So these are actually blue crabs. So when you get them, they're blue and green, but when you steam them, they become the red. And they have this Old Bay seasoning on it, which you will see when they steam them, they do put the Old Bay on there.
And Old Bay, of course, is like the best spice in the world.
It is.
It's one of
It's
the
a
few,
Maryland
I was
spice.
gonna say, it's one of the few good exports from Maryland.
So the first thing we do is actually, this is called the key, and you take the key and you break it off. And this will allow you to take the top off the crab.
Ooh, look at all that.
So just take that off.
Delish.
This is actually what you're using to make the broth. Okay, so you're
Okay.
going to be using the legs and the cap of the crab. So, and then you can clean off all this icky stuff. This is actually the lungs here. And the face.
I love crab lungs.
And the face. And the inner workings of the crab. There is yellow stuff here, which is called mustard, which is actually a delicacy. It's actually quite yummy. Okay, and then you have this, and you break it in half. And you can see, like, these are all little chambers that'll have crab meat in them. So if you're lucky, when you break these things off, you can pull out some crab meat with them. A lot of times you don't get much, but you can see. And you just pull off the legs.
It was a bad year for crabs this year, wasn't it?
It is.
I don't know why. What, do you know why? I forgot. I thought there was a reason.
I don't know. I don't know if it
Too
was
much
weather
rain.
or not. It might be too much rain.
Yeah.
So then once you crack this open, you can see this is all crab meat. And here, as you can see, is what everyone really, really wants is lump crab meat.
Mmm.
So that's the stuff that you want. And then you have to pick it. And usually when you're doing crabs, you're doing this with friends and family, outside, with a beer.
Big table with like a big brown paper, right?
Yep, brown paper, newspaper, and it is an all-day afternoon event. Like you can
And you
get
get
a
the-
bushel of them and you just pick all day and eat. It's a social thing.
Yeah.
And so this is picking the crab.
It's actually a lot more meat than I thought.
You have to go through each chamber where the leg was and pull that out. There's meat. Actually, the fun part is when you're eating this and you put it in and there might be a piece of shell in it, then you get to spit it out, which is kind of fun. Politely, you turn away from the table, but you do get to spit it out.
Or, you know, since you're drinking beer, just swallow it.
That's true. It's calcium.
It's
So.
calcium. Good for you.
And this will go into the soup at the very end because it is delicate. It's already been cooked.
That's right. These are steamed, right?
Yep, they're already steamed. The best way to get crabs is to get them and you get them hot and you eat them while they're hot. And then if there's leftover crabs, you put them in the refrigerator or keep them in a cooler, and then you make soup or crab dip. That's what everybody does.
And crab dip is excellent too.
Yes, crab dip is awesome, but this is actually a very healthy food. You're not going to, it's all vegetables, seafood. It's excellent, and you're not gonna find a huge amount of calories, very little fat. So it's good to have. All right, so we're gonna, to do the crab legs, you have to be careful because you do get these points. You cut them in half, and I just realized I need to get, we get mallets, and I don't know if I have mallets here. So I'm gonna use the back of a knife. So how do you get crab? Here you put a knife halfway through, crack it, and this is the crab meat. And you have to get these little tongs. I'll use one of these, I have.
Oh yeah, that's like a crab picker.
Yeah, I realized all my crab pickers, I don't know where I have them. Last time we had crabs, it was at Mom's, so they're all there. So this is all the crab meat coming out of the
Crab legs.
claw.
Crab claw.
This is the claw meat.
Now
And
lump
then-
the lump crab is the better, right?
Yes, the first part, the lump, is what everyone likes. You can buy just claw meat. It's less expensive. But
And
I
actually,
like it
there's-
just as much, actually.
And claw meat isn't that better for dips?
I
Or same, doesn't matter.
think it's the same. Most people do use a lot of claw when they do their. So this was a nice heavy crab. So that's the amount of crab meat that I got out of half of a crab. So we have the other half, and so we've got these, and we'll be doing that for the rest.
Okay. Well, that's good. So Dawn, you're picking the rest of this is the meat out of the main body, main cavity?
Yes. So you can kind of see the meat that's in here. That's all meat that comes out. This is the back fin area.
Ooh, that's a lot.
Yeah, that's the most that you'll get out of it. And then these are the little compartments with the little legs. You just have to go down with each finger and pull it out.
It's a lot of work for this soup.
Maryland crabs, yeah, it's more of a social thing. It is, I mean, it's delicious, and it's patience why you to get all that good crab meat. Now, I'm originally from Vermont and New England, so we eat lobsters up there, which are a lot easier to open to eat. You get a lot more meat
Lobster's a lot
faster.
bigger.
Yeah, the lobsters are a lot bigger. But my family's from Pennsylvania, and so we'd come down every year in the summer and do a big crab feast. And you just sit and pick all day and socialize. It is a family event. And like I said, it's using all local produce. Corn is coming in, beans are coming in, the tomatoes are coming in. I'll spend at least 3 or 4 weekends canning tomatoes with my mom and my sister, and it just becomes a large picnic. But it is, of course, all this stuff comes in, and it is the hottest time of the year, and that's when you're in your kitchen cooking, so it is a hot job. And when my sister and I did it when we were kids, we hated it. It was like, oh gosh, we gotta, go can with mom or with Nanny and Pap. We'd go down because they had a farm, and we would can, and it would always be so hot. And now my mom, who's in her late 70s, she's like, well, we don't have to can anymore. It's just as, it's actually cost efficient to just buy a canned goods at the grocery store and use those. But now my sister and I are like, no, we have to can. I mean, this is what we always did. And so now we're doing it. And I have friends that have never canned and wanted to do, we do jams. We do peach and strawberry jam, blueberry jam, and especially during COVID, it was very hard to find canning equipment last year, the jars and the lids, because everyone was doing it at home. It was the new self-learning, to cook, and we had a hard time finding all of our lids that we needed to do to usually do canning, and we put up a lot, and we had to find our resources that had extra lids for us in that. And this year, all the jars are for sale, all the canning stuff. Nobody's canning this year because it takes a lot of time, and it is hot work. But you will never, this tomato juice, there's no salt in it. When you get tomato juice from the store, now you have to buy it where it's no salt or low sodium or whatever. We just make it with just the tomatoes, and we put in some onions and peppers depending on it. We put in a jalapeno, whatever we're getting from the garden, and we'll make a tomato juice. We'll do whole tomatoes. It's whatever's coming out, and it's just a lot healthier for you. I swear my father's not the healthiest person in the world, but he drinks this all winter long. I think it's the only thing that keeps him alive. It's his magic elixir, because everything else he eats isn't healthy, and he's in very good health. So, and then Dan always gets his peach jam every year.
I just got some. And then also I love your pickled jalapenos, which I've done now that I have so many jalapenos. I have already 2 jars of pickled jalapenos, but they're not as good as yours. Yours are nice and sweet.
Yep, you gotta do their candied hot jalapenos.
Mine aren't candied. Mine are just like a little bit of sugar in them.
And they're excellent on barbecued nachos. So you do nachos, but you use pork barbecue or beef barbecue on it, and with the candied jalapenos, it's really awesome.
Yeah.
And then we also do a variety of pickles, because cucumbers are in now. And so we'll do dill pickles, bread and butter pickles.
I love your pickles too. You have this great pickles that you give me. That's awesome.
So summer is whatever we do, we can for the winter, and then we just pull it out. We do corn. We freeze our corn. Throughout the winter time, Christmas and the holidays, we always have fresh corn. And I will say, you can purchase corn, frozen corn, and just put it in. It will not taste the same as fresh corn. It really makes it. It's so sweet, and it will make the soup. You can tell if they're using a bag of corn or if they're using fresh corn. But sometimes you just don't have the choice. But now we have the choice, so it's fresh corn. It's awesome. Even if you have to freeze it yourself, it'll be better than what you would get at the grocery store.
Oh, Dawn, your thing is
My
steaming.
soup's boiling, so we're gonna turn that back.
Turn the gas down. Well, and by the way, while she was making everything, she put together a nice platter for us to eat while we're waiting for the soup to be made.
And actually, that's cheese. There's quite a few dairies around here, and they started making cheese. And I'm a bit snobby because I'm from Vermont, and Vermont cheddar cheese is well known and it's excellent. And so it's not as good as Vermont cheese, but they do have some really good cheeses down here. That's from Hawk's Creamery, and they do a hot pepper cheese. And so we're supporting our local cheese place, and we have local butchers here, and it has become very much a sustainable county that I live in. So put on our tomatoes. It smells good. Alright, turn the heat on. We just layer in corn. Beans. This is where I actually did cheat because I'm not shelling peas, but you can shell them if you want to put in frozen peas. Some carrots. And then we're gonna let this all kind of cook together for 15-20 minutes. We'll add the crab last, and then it'll be good to go. But it looks gorgeous. Red of the tomato, the beans, looks beautiful.
A good pot?
Looks like a good pot.
Have you ever made a bad pot?
Of soup?
No, of crab soup.
No, it always comes out pretty good. Get good ingredients. I've had bad tomatoes. I've canned and where a jar has turned, because you really gotta make sure that it seals well, and there's nothing like a bad jar of tomatoes, but it explodes, so you know when it's bad. But I only did that once, and I've been canning for over 30 years, so. But
Gee, Dawn, that smells amazing. We just walked outside in Dawn's backyard. Dawn just moved here in the beginning of the year, January or December.
December 23rd.
December 23rd, and it's June, August, whatever the date is.
22nd.
So yeah, so anyway, we were just walking in her backyard, and we were out there, and we smelled the soup, and the windows aren't even open. That's pretty amazing.
It comes through the vent.
Oh, duh. Okay. Anyway, it smells really good. It looks really good. We are getting ready to have soup.
All right, so our vegetables have been cooking, and since they were the green beans and that were fresh, we had to let them cook so that they're now ready to eat. And the last thing we do is we put the crab meat in. And this is what our soup looks like. You can see the corn, the crab, green beans, everything's right in there. And then it's really to your taste. You can try it. If you want it a little spicier, you can add Old Bay. I think I have it actually here. This is the Old Bay. You can always add more of it if you like, but it's pretty, I don't use salt, I don't use pepper because of the seasoning on the crabs. They have all of that in there, and it is what it is. So
Bon appetit.
All right. Okay, thank you very much. Wait. Can you hear me? All right, sorry, couldn't tell if you could hear me. We are moving on to our next section of the conference. We will hear from Boris Rouse, if that's how you say it. He'll talk about ISA marketing for the new ages, and I'll be interested to see and hear what he describes as new ages. So, Boris, if you'd like to join us and make sure that I pronounced your name correctly.
Hello, guys.
Hey, Boris.
I need the option to share my screen first.
Yep. Got it. Ready?
Yeah. Yeah, it works now. Cool. Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, cool. Cool. Okay. Oh, we have too many stuff. Okay. So the topic for today, it will be more like a speech less than a workshop, because I think it's really hard to make a workshop in like on online settings. So we will be doing like more. I will be talking. I will be asking you some things about your opinions and stuff. So we'll see how that goes. The topic is marketing for the new ages. First of all, I think that marketing is mostly now going towards digital, and digital is changing really fast. So like every new week is a new age, because every new week something new comes, and you need to either adapt to that or not. And yeah, about my surname, it's Rausch with an sh sound on the end. So I'm from German descendancy, so it was spelled differently before. Yeah. So a little bit about me. My name, as I said, my name is Boris Rausch. I am 33 years old, and at the moment I am the co-founder and the CEO of a company called Bamboo Lab. We are doing mostly digital marketing, web development, and education curriculums. That's mostly stuff that we do. Apart from that, I would consider myself a world traveler. I visited around 50 countries. And because of COVID, I didn't travel for the last year and a half. So I'm really looking forward to stopping that and to try to travel again as soon as possible and as far as possible. Like most of you, I was a member of IST before. I was a full member between 2009 and 2012. And since 2014, I was involved with IST CR region and also with IST Jump before Anna Maria took over this year. And I have been doing IST workshops and other stuff since 2011. So I really like when I have the opportunity to still tell you some interesting stuff that especially like this, which is my everyday job and which I am working on every day, and then I can share some of the new stuff that we are working on and that we can maybe help spark some ideas in your head. Apart from that, I'm also a teacher. Well, I'm an associate teacher on Academy of Fine Arts and Digital Media in my hometown of Osijek. And I also do a couple of workshops and lectures on some kind of private schools, let's say both in Osijek and in Zagreb. And I'm part of a mentorship program. So we have some kind of students then often come to us, and I'm one of the mentors. We also had cooperation with IST in that regard in the past, and also with European Student Network Erasmus. I collect comic books. I have a really good collection, and also I read a lot of books, both professional and both like some kind of nice literature. So that is some kind of my passion. And the last thing is that I'm really into pub quizzes. I really like to go to a good pub quiz, and apart from going to pub quizzes, I'm also organizing pub quizzes in Croatia. And next week we have like a national championship in pub quizzes, and our team will be we're like one of the top 10 teams in the country. So that'll be fun. It's next week. It was supposed to be this week, and then when I found out it will not be this week, then I called Dana Maria and said I am available to do this, because that was like a tiny schedule problem, but they moved it to September, so I'm free today to be with you guys here. And that's all you need to know about me for now. If you have any other questions, you can always ask. But now we are going to the much better topic, and that is you. So if you want to introduce yourselves and say a little bit about yourselves, that will really be nice. I always like to know a little bit about the people that come to my workshops, presentations, whatever. So we can start with you guys, and if you don't mind to just to put your cam on, like just for a couple of minutes, just so I can see all of you, that you are still alive, and that you are really listening to me. Yeah, thanks. I already see some cams, so that's nice. Okay, we can go in any order you want.
Okay, guys, I will go first.
Okay.
So my name is Ana Maria. I'm coming from Croatia, and I'm here because I'm one of jump coordinators this year, after many years of Boris. When Boris was,
it wasn't that many. It was like
how many was it?
three and a half.
I think it was more than that.
Maybe 4.5. I'm not sure. Yeah.
Yes, I'm here because I want to support guys who are organizing this, and I'm pretty sure I learned a lot during these 3 days, and I just like spending time with the IST people. So yeah, that's my reason.
Thank you, Mariam.
Well, you know me, but I also enjoy spending time with IST people. We worked with Boris last year, which is great, and Ana Maria has been very helpful being our coordinator this year. We just love working with IST Croatia and the committees that you heard, yesterday from Bolivia and France, and we just had a great experience with everybody. So and Kenya, the inspiration of the 3 Kenya groups coming together to form one associate committee. So I love working with IST, so that's why I'm here.
Thanks, Dan.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
My name is Tamuka. I'm from Zimbabwe. I'm currently in South Africa at the moment. I was just in a technical leadership program with IST USA, like past 6 weeks. So I kind of being part of it, I got a ticket for IST Jump. So that's why I'm here, meeting new people, seeing how IST works. Probably maybe in the future, maybe I'll be working with you guys as a volunteer.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That sounds
Thanks.
awesome. I actually have someone I want to make sure that you connect with to move this, so I will definitely reach out to you. And Boris, you know who I am. I'm really excited to see you again, and thanks for leading out in this session.
No worries.
And yes, Boris, you also know who I am. We worked together last year, and I definitely enjoyed last year and this year. I really enjoyed working with Ana Maria. Definitely love like her innovative ideas and just really pushing through and resilience through the whole process, and just loved our meetings. So yeah, I'm here. I love working with the ISD team and being a part of it.
Thank you. Do we have anybody else who wants to say something about themselves?
Yeah, okay. So I'm Felix from Austria, and I'm a pretty new member. So I joined some months ago. And yeah, I'm also a really young member of IASTE, so I didn't start to study yet, but I'll start in October. And yeah, I'm happy to meeting all you guys and have a good time.
Okay, thanks, Felix. Anybody else, or should we continue?
I guess you should get going.
Yeah. Okay, so the agenda for today, aka the 3 what questions. First, we'll talk about what is disruption in the current marketing, what is trending now in 2011, in 2021, and what is coming our way in the next year and probably in the years to come. So that'll be like some kind of 3 topics that we will cover today. But before we start on that, we'll talk a little bit about the whole concept of marketing today and how it changed, like from the days of Mad Men and the marketing in medicine in like the 1950s and the 60s. Because like the main issue now is how to choose the product you want. Before, you had like a couple of options and they're all pretty much the same. So the marketing was there to promote you one idea of one product. But now you have a billion options for each product. You can choose whatever you want. You have differentiations for each anything. You can buy vegan toothpaste. You can buy whatever you want, and it's really whatever you need, you can find it. We are in that stage of evolution and the technology that we can do it like that. So the question is how to target different kind of people with different kind of needs. And that is one of the main things that marketeers are trying to do today. And also the big question is how technology goes into that. Like for millennials, like the Polaroid camera was something that was like, oh my God, this is so innovative, and this is something that you can make a photo and it just prints out. And then we had Gen Z after that basically is sleeping with their phone because they're used to the concept of smartphones from their childhood. And now we have generation Alpha that is just coming. They're still like kids in preteens, and who knows what will be. They're already together with technology. They know, like my niece, who is she's less than 3 years old. She knows YouTube already. She doesn't speak English, but she knows all the songs in English because she listens to songs on YouTube in English. And we have 3 different generations that are, or they already have money power to buy stuff, or they're influencing people that can buy. Like the kids can influence their parents to buy them. So we really need 3 different approaches at least for each and one of them. And then you can see the people from Generation Y or the millennials. They were like born from the 80s to the mid of 90s. That's my generation. And for us, I still remember like when the iPod came out, they're like, oh my God, you can have some little piece of thing that has like tens of thousands of songs on it, and you can walk around and you can listen to that. That was like really, for my concept, it was really about that. Then we have the Generation Z after that, that was born from the middle of 90s to the end of 2000s, and for them, they're already living in a world where we have electric cars, that we have apps, that everything is connected. They don't know a world without steady internet connection. At least, like if we are talking about the Western United States and Europe. I still remember that when I started going to school, there was no internet. Internet maybe came in Croatia like 96, 97, something like that. We didn't use it before, so we had a dial-up modem. I'm pretty sure that younger people don't even know the sound of the dial-up modem now. So that's something that is totally strange for them. And then we have Generation Alpha. They're born after 2010. Currently, they're like 11 years old, but they will be influential in 5 years, and we need to already start thinking about them. They live in a world where we have smart homes, that we have machines that can put the lights on if you're coming back home, that can turn the lights off if you left home abruptly, that can trigger a lot of stuff for ourselves. And that's something that nobody thought about like even 5 or 10 years ago. So we have, at the moment, we have at least 3 different generations that are totally different. And when you talk to the Generation Z, they behave totally different from everybody else. They use social media and they use marketing with a different aspect than we use, than all the people use. The other generations mostly use them to just convey some kind of message, maybe for communication, and maybe to learn something. But Generation Z uses a lot of that for self-expression. And if you ask them, they all use filters, lenses, emojis, color filters. They edit their photos, edit their videos, they add text, they add other stuff. And that's something that we didn't do. The most thing that we do was using word art and maybe transitions in presentations. So the things are changing because the people are changing in them. And then we also have like a super different concept for everything. When social media became, everybody wanted to tell a lot of stuff about them. Like put pictures of your dog, put pictures from a vacation, if you have some kind of food that you wanted to put or something like that. And now we see those kids from Generation Z, they have like 2 Instagrams. One is a public Instagram, and then the second one is a private one. That's like a Finsta, fake Instagram reality. That's also called dark social sharing because it's not known. And then you have like stories and Snapchats that go out after 24 hours. That's a totally different concept from what social media was when it started. So it's evolving. It evolved hugely in like 10 years. So it'll be really fun to see what the future brings to us. So we'll talk now a little bit about the whole disruption in the current marketing. I have like the first question, like, do you know a company or do you think is a disruptive, not just in marketing, but in general? And do you know a company that you think that other people think is a disruptive, but you think it's not? So this is like a part if you want to answer that, or if not, we can just go on. But I think that we have some examples of companies that are really like disruptive, and I think everybody knows them. Okay, we can talk about that later. So what exactly is like the disruption innovation? Because disruption is just a form of innovation, and like I took the meaning from the internet. So disruption innovation is an innovation that creates a new market by providing a different set of values, which ultimately and unexpectedly overtakes an existing market. For example, when Ford Model T came, that was a disruption, which totally displaced horses and horse-drawn carriages. Usually when disruption comes out, most people say like, that's bullshit, that will not work, that's like just something new and flashy, but that will not work. And that's the main reason for the disruption, because disruption finds something that nobody even thought about it before. For that reason, companies like Uber and Google are not really disruptive, because they didn't make anything new. They just took on concepts that were there before and make them better or adapted them to the new age. But then we have a company like Netflix that nobody was streaming videos before, and nobody was watching anything online, and they came like, okay, we will rent you movies on your computer, and that is like totally different from anything else. When you talk about big disruptors in the industry, at the moment, these three are like definitely the biggest. Apple, Amazon, and Netflix, especially Apple. From before, iPhone was probably the biggest disruption in the last 50 years, something like that. That was the start of the smartphone era that saw the huge technological increase after that, because it allowed people to get a lot of knowledge in their hands while they're walking, whatever. And that really changed everything. Amazon is really still shaping out the whole retail industry and also logistics stuff, and they're really improving on a lot of fields. And we have Netflix that I already mentioned, that apart from being online streaming service, is also disrupting how movies are made, disrupting how TV series are made, how can you budget them, and how to get money back from them. Something that is totally different from before. And now, from first like 5-7 years ago, then they were like the only one. Now almost every studio has their own streaming service, because they saw, okay, we cannot live without that. So it's a good question in which area, for example, will cinemas evolve? Because now, also with the COVID and stuff, now almost all movies are both in cinemas and on streaming services, just to have it more approachable to people. So that's something that we will need to see. And we we came to an era where, because of COVID, we had like let's say a much faster digitalization than anybody wanted or even strive to. So we were like pushed to that. Okay, now you need to adapt. Something like this. Online conferences were before, but nobody was like really interested in them. Now we have online conferences. People say, okay, that's not like the best options, but maybe hybrid ones are. And now we have a rise of hybrid conferences, let's say, because you can have like 500 people in audience, and then you can have like 10,000 people online, which is extra income, let's say, because you didn't even think that you can sell 10,000 tickets before. Then we have some disruptive companies that are directly helping marketing. For example, Coursera, that came like 10 years ago with online courses. We have Discord that is totally changing the shape of how to communicate online and how to share content between small groups. They're like, I think that they're evaluated now at $10 billion or something like that. Microsoft wants to buy them. So that's that. And then we have Airtable, which we use at our company, which I call like Microsoft Excel on steroids, where you can make your own custom data tables without no code. You can make rules. You can do a lot of stuff that helps you with organizing projects, organizing anything without any knowledge of it. You just push things back. You move blocks around, and you make your own perfect report or whatever you want. And it's so easy. I think it's so idiot proof. And that's the biggest thing, that you can do a lot of stuff there, and you don't need to have any kind of knowledge about either Excel, either mathematics, or anything else. It's really so easy to use. And then we have traditional, long-standing companies like Nissan, Lego, and Nike, for example, that are really using disruptive techniques in their own marketing. And we will see like 3 examples now. For Nissan, they were selling their cars on Amazon, and if you buy their car on Amazon, they will ship it in a huge Amazon box. You will get a car to your address in a huge Amazon box with a Nissan car inside. And the disruption here is that they took something that was before normal. Everybody was used to buying, like, let's say, books on Amazon and getting like a small package, and that was fine. But nobody was really into buying cars in that area. But they went with their Note series with like smaller affordable cars. They're like, I think they sell them for $10,000 or something like that. And they said, okay, they're really small cars and we have a bunch of them, so we will sell them on Amazon, and we'll see how that goes. So they disrupted the traditional way of selling cars with using something that nobody ever thought before. And then we have Lego, which have now a whole separate line called Lego Ideas, that anybody of us can put an idea of a Lego set to their store, and if it gets 10,000 votes, they will put it in production. So they're directly listening to what people who usually buy Lego want to have as a Lego set, and then you can then they use that information to sell you exactly what you wanted, and that's really interesting, because before, even if you did some kind of market research, it was really hard to know what is a good idea and what is a bad idea. And Lego said, okay, let's ask the people who usually buy Lego what they want, and then we will make that exactly back. And you have a bunch of examples of that. And one of I think the best selling was that somebody made a NASA Apollo set with the black woman from the movie that were like working on the IT for the Apollo missions, and that was like a huge selling, because probably nobody in Denmark is thinking about that, but there are people that really care about Lego, and they said they were given like a platform to express themselves and say, okay, we want this, and then Lego says, okay, cool, we will give it to you. So that was really fine. And then lastly, we have Nike. I will put the video, but one of the things that Nike as a company is doing really great is that they are first and foremost a company for people that do sports, but they know that there are a lot of other people that don't really use sports but want to be part of the brand, and they're going to the route that even if you're not the perfect sports person, we still have something to offer you. And this is a video from a few years ago, but they still continue to go in that direction. I will show you the video. And
greatness, it's just something we made up. Somehow we've come to believe that greatness is a gift reserved for a chosen few, for prodigies, for superstars, and the rest of us can only stand by watching. You can forget that. Greatness is not some rare DNA strand. It's not some precious thing. Greatness is no more unique to us than breathing. We're all capable of it. All of us.
And they're doing like a bunch of those kind of commercials. Like they also have like a good one from 2019 where they took two sisters from the same family, and one is like she runs marathons and stuff, and the other one, she's just like sometimes jogging, going to the gym, nothing special, and it's hard for her. And they're like filming them in both the same situations. Like one is excelling, and the other one like is in the gym and cursing and like, what the fuck am I doing here? And they say like, even if you're great or even if you're just trying, we are here for you. And like that's something, from my personal opinion, that's something that even if you know that you will have the most money from like people that are really into sports, you are still giving care to the other people. And that's something that's I will say that's like a thought disruption, because you are changing the paradigm of how to think about that, and you are trying to put that to other stuff also. Okay. So what other stuff is being done disruptively in marketing at the moment? One of the stuff is definitely personalization and recommendation. A bunch of online stuff you can personalize to yourself. It's not just made on a line in 10 million items and then it's how it is. But the point is that you can personalize it to yourself. The other part is like the same with Lego, listening to customers and giving them what they really need. Then we have usage of tech, especially virtual reality, which is really I saw a filter where you can upload your like picture of your flat and you can see how other furniture looks inside. And I was like, this is like mind-blowing. So they make probably a 3D render of your photo and then put inside. And I was like, this is really like some nice stuff. Also, we are mostly going in the area of influencers and referrals. We want to have like a social proof of something. I want to buy something that somebody that I know, care, or admire is telling me that that's good. And that's something I want to do. And new markets, both like geographically, but also like markets for minorities in certain areas, or markets like for some companies that like before mostly like, let's say, made stuff for either women or men. Now they're like expanding in both areas. And that's something, because it doesn't make sense to make something just for men or just for women. You're eliminating at least 50% of the others, and you're eliminating everybody else in the middle who doesn't who is other stuff apart from that. And that's both from business-wise, it's not a good idea. So that's why good it is to diversify whatever you want, whatever you can. So now, what is trending in 2021? First, we finally came to the age where being authentic online in marketing is really something that is admirable. So we want to see how something real looks. We don't want to have it photoshopped. We don't want to have it artificially enhanced. We want to see how it is as it is. And we can see a bunch of people that are just putting pictures. They're not retouched or anything, and I think that that's fabulous. Then we have influencer marketing, and that's something that a bunch of people think that like that bullshit. But the bullshit is that if you're a fake influencer and then you want to get freebies and stuff, that's not good. But if you're a real influencer that for some reason you have a bunch of following, then people for whatever reason they listen to you, and then what you promote is really important. We were working with our company was working with the biggest Croatian telecom operator, and they were like sponsoring some kind of let's say extreme sports festival, something like X Games, and we proposed to them, okay, let's have some of the skateboarding guys people make videos for you, and they sell, but what will they talk about? Mobile phones. And we tell them they will not talk about mobile phones. They will just explain what to do with the skateboard, what to do with the BMX, and whatever, because your focus group is like 15 to 25. That's your main point. So let's give them what they want. And then we had a skateboarding girl. She did some kind of tricks, explained the tricks. And we had a skateboarding guy. He was explaining like backflip, ollie, and that kind of stuff. And those two videos are like the most, they have most views on Instagram for them in like the last 5-10 years. And they're like, okay, and now people are asking of us about what we can offer them, because it's not really anymore important that you talk about what you offer. The main part is just to give some kind of value to your customers that they really need. They don't really need to know what kind of mobile phones you have. and other stuff, but they need to know that you care about them and that you will provide them what you want. And that's something that we need to focus on in 2021. And now mixing authentic and influencer marketing, we should come to authentic influencer marketing. That's something that will come, but we already think that Norway will have a law that you will need to put on Instagram and other social media marker on your photos if you retouch them or you Photoshop them, because it's a huge problem. People think, oh my God, they are looking so perfect, and then you are not content with yourself, and that's a psychological problem. And we're already in deep psychological shit with all the COVID stuff. So we need to be in an authentic era that marketing will provide us authentic values and something that is real, and not some kind of fairy tale what can be. Then we have also micro influencers. That those are people that maybe have 1,000, 2,000 followers, maybe more, but that's not the point. The point is that they're really niche. They have specific audiences, but they can provide high engagement rate to those audiences, and usually they're cheaper but more effective than some kind of huge influencers. I saw that, like, I think Cristiano Ronaldo, he charges 1.5 million euros for one Instagram photo. So that's like, it's probably good if you are selling, I don't know, cars or something, because you can get a high return. But if you are some kind of local stuff, that doesn't really make sense. And also, Aeste has a bunch of micro influencers that I think that we are not using enough. But this is an example from the Aeste.org page on the student testimonial page, that you can see students that went somewhere with Aeste and now they're speaking about Aeste. And I think that's something that is really, really great. And I know that countries like Austria and Czechia, they really have a good cooperation with the alumni, and they use them and they organize a bunch of stuff and that stuff. And that is something that I really think that nobody thought about them as influences for Aeste, but basically they are. And that's something that we can also think about that in the future. Also, what is a good trend at the moment is some kind of positive discrimination, that we provide content just for some specific groups. We have here a digital ad. I will give you the video, but basically, if you'll see it.
And our foundation manages an anonymous and confidential telephone line to attend children and teenagers under a risk situation. As a result of International Day Against Child Abuse, we launch a message for those ones suffering any kind of abuse. A message exclusively for them, hidden from adults' eyes. The outdoor uses a lenticular to assemble two images, the one aimed at adults and the other aimed at children. The lenticular allows you to see one image from one angle and a different image from another angle. From the average height by age, we can determine what part of each image will be seen by each person. In this way, we find an area only visible by children under 10. A message only for children. And a warning for adults.
And we have a bunch of examples like that now, that we have targeted ads just for some kind of from areas, because it's not like a message for everybody, but it's a message for that. I really like the campaign for, I think it was Gillette or somebody, talking about boys will be boys. It was like maybe 2 years ago or something like that. They were talking about, no, that is not like a normal behavior, that boys will be boys. It's something that we as a male or oriented company can change the view of what is masculine and what is like good male behavior. And those kind of campaigns will be even more in the future, because we are cluttered with all the information. So if you find a way how to micro-target specific groups, it will be much helpful in the future. Then we also have an increase in audio. We got the first audio social media this year called Clubhouse. I don't know if anybody of you uses it. It's an invite only at the moment, I think, only for Apple. But it's like Twitter, but everybody's talking, like no typing, just talking. Then also we have an increase in podcast. Last year, Joe Rogan, who is probably the most recognized podcast in the world, he made a $100 million deal with Spotify to be exclusive from there. Podcast is a form that was available like 10 years, 15 years ago. But I think now we are like in the prime area of podcast, where you can find podcasts about everything: daily news, politics, history, sports, comedy, whatever you want, you can find. And marketing and ads in podcast, I think they're like risen for like 4,000% in the last couple of years, and they are still really cheap because people are not investing there. So you can really get cheap ads in podcasts. Then we have live streams. The statistic for 2009 was that from 5 Facebook videos, only 1 was live, and now in 2011, 2012, 21, 4 or 5 Facebook videos were live. I think that also helped because we have a bunch of streamings from concerts and other stuff that we had because of COVID. But I think that's something that will not so likely change in the future. And when we look on the percentages of type of content, video and photo still amass for more than 50% of all content on the internet, on social media. So that is something that we still need to be mostly oriented. And when we talk about video, you have vertical videos, like for example, stories. You have live stream videos. You have looping videos like Reels, TikTok, Snapchat. You have animated text videos, augmented reality videos, 360, long format, educational. You have a bunch of different types of video content that you can produce. Even now we are filming this, so we can make a video of that later for anybody who wants to listen to this. That's something that like 5 years ago you will need to have like a tech equipment of a couple of $1,000s just to do this, and now we can do it like for basically for free, just paying the Zoom for what we need to pay them. And everybody has a laptop already, so we don't need to invest for that. And that is something that most people take for granted and we still don't use it as much as we can, especially in marketing. Like we could have like a sponsored logo somewhere here and like sell advertising space here. That's something that people still don't think about it in that manner, but that will definitely come soon. Then we have a bunch of interactive content that we can divide like in lenses that we have on Snapchat and Instagram. We have geo filters because people want to say where they are. We have filters. We have spectacles from Snapchat, but we have other wearables, wearable tech like watches and a whole lot of other stuff. Now you have, I saw you have some kind of necklace that is a digital tech that also measures like the same as Fitbit. So that is something that is still just emerging. That's still not on nowhere near its maximum usage. Then also last year we had the first social media TV, and Snapchat partnered with Will Smith and Ryan Reynolds, and they made Snapchat TV series that was like a couple of seconds long, and it went into a different bunch of episodes. Then we have a blending of e-commerce with social media. You can sell through Snapchat, through Instagram. You have Instagram Shop. You have Facebook catalogs. That's something that is definitely helping us to even more sell. And then something that we will definitely see even more, but that is always already a trend, is chatbots. it's value-driven content, and it's repurposing. Like if you make something for YouTube, how to use it for Instagram. If you make something for Instagram, how to use it for something else. Personalization is something that we all
Boris, we can't hear you. Boris, if you can hear us, we cannot hear you. Uh-oh. Boris? Yeah, Boris, wait, let's put in the thing. Thank you. It's
Can you maybe mute him and unmute him?
Boris, you have to unmute yourself. Boris, can you hear us? We can't hear you. No, we can't hear us. You want to WhatsApp it?
Well done, Felix. It's so obvious that you are definitely inspired today.
Maybe he's
Maybe 'cause he's
presenting. He can't see or
presenting.
hear.
Yeah. Yeah.
I also sent him a message, like
Okay.
privately, so
Okay.
I think he saw.
I see. He stopped speaking at least. Maybe he's. Oh no. I mean, it just all of a sudden just stopped.
Oh. Yeah. Oh. Well, do you want to just show the video whilst we wait? Oh, sorry, everyone. We're still waiting for Boris.
Boris, now you're unmuted. Can you hear us?
I can hear now.
Yeah, there you go. Can you? You were still going through that last slide there. Do you have?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that is my last slide. Just.
Okay.
This is what you saw. Yeah.
That's it. We were just getting into emerging. Yeah, you just finished we were just finishing the previous slide.
Okay. So
Okay.
yeah. Apart from this slide, we already talk about hybrid events. That will be like the staple in the future. We will definitely be more talking about the post-cookie world because Google is cutting down cookies. So we will have a different kind of privacy thing in mind, and that we will be less sharing what we do on internet, and people that are marketing about that will need to adapt to that. We already talked about personalization. There will be huge automatization and automation also. We had a huge increase in voice search in the last years. And also we'll have a huge increase in voice assistants and voice using voice also to be on internet. And we will definitely be more talking about engagement without sales, like we will be marketing stuff, but not with the intent of selling something. The idea will be just to keep our members, our consumers involved with that. Yeah, and basically this was my slide. So after that, we have just, if anybody has any kind of questions, I'm open for that. And apart from that, I know that I'm over my time a little bit, but I hope it was interesting enough.
Oh, it was really interesting. So thank you very much for this. And boy, talk about new media. Yes, we learned a lot. Does anybody have any questions? Either they can unmute themselves or put it in chat. And to answer your question, Felix, yes, we will ask the Boris to send us the presentation so we could share it with you. As we will with all of the presentations that have been made. I know they're on recording, but sometimes it's not as easy to see. But does anybody have any questions? I mean, thank you so much, by the way, for raising the idea of the ISD students being micro influencers when they're talking about their stories, because it's
interesting. Like I'm doing this like on daily basis, and I never thought of that. And then when I was preparing this workshop a couple of days ago, I was like looking on the official definition of a micro influencer, and I was like this basically I am like a micro influencer for ISD. I can be like I that, and then I was like, okay, then anybody, and then I was like, okay, we are already using that, but nobody is referring that in that manner, and I was like, okay, this really opens minds.
Well, that's great. And I think what I have always loved about the ISD content is its authenticity, that it is very authentic. The pictures are not made up. It's people enjoying each other, having fun, enjoying their work, enjoying their play. I mean, there's nothing that's touched up, which I love.
And also what I think, what I really like is that it is a huge organization, a huge system, but all the little pieces like this conference, and when you go somewhere, nothing is like nobody is overviewing how we do this. Nobody is telling you what to put in a report of an internship. It's all really authentic, and people just when you say like it cannot be that everybody's happy. Yeah, probably not everybody is happy, but most people that put out, they really are. Nobody forced them to do that. So that's something that is really, really nice to have and to find how to use it even more.
It's great. Does anybody have any questions? If not, we'll thank Boris. And
if not, you can find me on any kind of social media. Just find my name, or you can contact me by any of couple of emails that I use. And I'm already always want to talk with anybody who wants to talk about good stuff.
Do you have an alternate Instagram account?
No, I don't. All social media is open.
Okay, that's great. Well, thank you very much. We'll have a quick break before our next session, and please come back. But again, thank you so much, Boris, for your hard work and this great presentation.
Thank you for inviting me again. Cheers, guys.
Bye-bye. Well, we're getting ready to move on to our next session right now. A lighter side, ISA alumni telling funny ISA stories. I'd like to introduce our speaker, Gabor from ISA Hungary. Are you there, Gabor?
Hello, hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Perfect. Sadly, you will not be able to see me because I'm using my old computer and it's already killing itself. So it's like a little older than 11 years.
Oh, wow. Good. That's a good funny story to start with. You have an 11-year-old computer.
Yeah, it's like an alumni on its own.
Yes. Great. So the floor is yours. The screen is yours. Please feel free to start helping us with your stories.
Okay. So let me share my screen with you. Okay, so basically a little introduction while I'm trying to share my screen is that alumni, or way I think alumni is a pretty huge resource for our community and our association, which, to be honest, we don't really use as we should. And as part of our strategy, it's also included in the goals for 2025. And please tell me you can see my screen at the moment.
Yes, we can see it.
Perfect. So it's working. So mainly I will talk about how alumni is working at the moment and what we did so far and how we can connect with them. And then I will give the floor to Ana Maria to share some fun stories. So let's go with it. So basically, the goals. So the definition for alumni in IST is basically we consider alumni former members and also former trainees. And for those two categories, we need to get a different approach. But the goal, the united goal for 2025, it's included in the strategy, and it was accepted by the General Conference 1.5 years ago in Slovakia. So basically, the goal is to connect with our alumni, which means that we need to make everyone aware what it means to be an alumni, not just considering the current alumni network, but also the active members and also the new ones. So each and every one of us should know that we have alumni network, and each and every one of us should know what it means to be an IST alumni. We need to have a clear process to collect the data and use this kind of data the way we can. Also, what was stated in the goals is we need to increase the percentage of IST alumni who give something back to our community by becoming employers, having trainees there, maybe donating money, or simply just giving us their expertise, helping us become advisors to the national boards, or maybe do some kind of stuff on international level as well. And to be able to achieve this, we need to have some kind of attractive ways to the alumni network, and we need to make sure that they know what we are doing, and we need to make sure that they would like to be involved the current way of IST on national and also on international level. To be able to determine what are the alumni are looking for, and how can we work together with them. First, we have two different categories, former members and former trainees, and we did a prospect profile mapping for both of them. And in these mapping, or in this state, we basically have different categories or different categories, let's say that. First, we went through the challenges for former members, then we went through the gains and outcomes, and at last but not least, the pains and frustrations. So what are the challenges for former members to be an active alumni? In most cases, they don't really know that they are alumni, and they don't really know that IST alumni is existing. We also kind of lose the contact with them during the years. Imagine, like, for example, IST Hungary is around 40 years old now, and we know only 1 and 2 members from the 80s, a couple of members from the 90s, and also a couple of members from the beginning of this millennia. But the rest is unknown for us. We know just we can go back like a couple of years where members know each other personally, and apart from them, everything is almost lost. So we need to find out who they were and where are they now in their personal life. With this in mind, it's also difficult. I mean, if we have the database, it's also difficult to keep in contact with them because everything is changing super fast, and you cannot make sure, and you can't make sure that you have everything there. So you need to have the alumni to be engaged with you, and they should give you the information about what is going on in their life. There are different alumni categories. We have alumni on local level. If there is a local committee in some place, they should know their alumni. We have on the national level. We also might have something on a regional level, since the foundation of the regional initiatives. And also we have the international level, which gives us a lot of work to do and some kind of chaos in between those. From the alumni point of view, if they are interested in doing some work for us or with us, they don't really know who the contact is. So there is no clear contact on those 4 levels who they can turn to. They can start with using, I don't know, general email addresses, and then hopefully they can get to the responsible person, but it takes some time and takes effort to go through everyone. And in most countries, or in most cases, there is no local or national alumni network at the moment. So we know that we have alumni, but we don't really work with them at the moment. But what can we give to our alumni? So basically, those who would like to stay with us and work with us, they can always stay in touch with IST. They will know our values, our mission, and they would like to support us because of this. They also would like to stay in contact with their IST friends, those who they worked together with during their active years. Through the alumni network, it is also possible to reconnect with those who they knew a couple of years or a couple of decades ago and share their stories. Also, as I mentioned before, as advisors, they can always help us out with basically their knowledge and their experience. And at last, but absolutely not least, if they started something, they can see how their legacy is built up and what have we achieved ever since they started to work on that specific thing. Okay, and what are the pains and frustration? From personal experience, I can tell you that they don't really want to be disturbed too much. So when we started to do some kind of alumni network in Hungary, and we had a couple of email addresses, and we contacted them like every month, in the end, what we get back from their side is that, okay, guys, we know that you are there. If we want to do something with you, we will reach out to you. Please do not send us this many messages. And it was like 1 per month. So not a huge amount of spam mails, but overall, they don't really like to be disturbed. If they would like to help us and work with us, they will reach out. The other thing is, which I can also tell you with some personal experience, is when you are a university student, because IST Hungary is a student-run organization, and all of us started our IST journey when we were, or most of us, or most of the current members are students at the university. When you got your degree and you go to work on a professional level, it's energy and time consuming to do this IST activity next to your personal life, and it's even get busier when you have family. So they don't really have time and resources to be as active as they would like to be, or as active as we would like them to be. In some cases, the problem is the new reality with the LCs. So some LCs, they basically extinct because of the lack of members. New LCs are created, and if you are not an active member, it's pretty hard to keep track of what is happening within the association. There are new priorities. The world is changing each and every day. A couple of years ago, we did not really expect anything like the COVID or anything like the pandemic, and right now we have to live with it. We have to deal with it, and the world around us is pretty changing every day, and you cannot really predict what the future brings. So it's pretty hard to keep track of what we are doing, even when we are doing it. And at last but not least, and I think the last point is only relying on us. So basically, also from personal experience, when we ask for alumni advice or help, we ask them the latest moment possible, last moment possible, and it can be pretty annoying. So we need to keep in mind that they also need to schedule everything, and they maybe, if we give them more time or more information, probably they will be able to support us much more. The next is for the former trainees. So the other category besides former members are the former trainees. Here, the challenges are basically staying connected with everyone you are doing your internship with, the incoming and the outgoing students. So if you are a student and going abroad and you're doing an internship, you have friends from all over the world. You have also the host country. And yeah, right now, because of all the social media platforms and everything, it's easy to keep in track. But imagine this 20 years ago, or 30 years ago, or 40 years ago. And right now, if you were a former trainee, like in the 80s, it's almost impossible to get in contact with those who did the internship with you. You can contact maybe the local committee, or if it's not existing anymore, the national committee, and hopefully they can give you some advice where to look for those people. But maybe they don't have the information at all. So it's hard to get in touch with everyone. Also, the other problem, or not problem, challenge for us is that after the internship, most of the students lose their interest in IST. And I can also tell it from personal experience, because I was exchange coordinator for Hungary for 2 years, that until the internship, they are super excited. They are answering to every mail, answering all the phones, and they would like to have as much information as possible. But after the internship, they don't really care about us. So they send us some pictures, maybe a report if they mind. But after that, they completely leave us behind, basically. And we cannot really force them to become active alumni as former trainees. With the trainees, it's also maybe the biggest challenge there is that they don't really know the association as well. It's hard to get them involved within our everyday life. And what we, I think, fail to do is that we don't really make them realize that they have participated in the biggest or the largest mobility program for STEM students with IST. So we need to show them, or somehow, yeah, as I mentioned, make them realize that we are the biggest one out there for STEM students, and it's somehow a privilege to be part of this. The gains and outcomes for students are the life-changing experience. So basically, it could be the motto for IST, like we are providing you life-changing experience. You will know international people, not just the host country, but probably students from all over the world. Your CV would be, I mean, this point is always interesting. I can also tell it from personal experience that when I applied for a job after the university, they always ask for what the hell did I do in Japan and how did I get there, because I did my internship there exactly 5 years ago. And they are always super interested. Also, if you are abroad, it's a good way to practice your language. Language skills, you will learn new cultures, new way of thinking. Maybe you can get accredited at the university. It's heavily university or you may be department related. And as I mentioned before, you can, former trainee can tell that he or she participated in the world's largest mobility program for STEM students. So that is what they can get from us. And the pains and frustration is basically, if you are doing an internship abroad, maybe the distance between the place you were and your best friend there will be more than 10,000 kilometers. So it's pretty hard to keep or have some personal experience together. As I mentioned before, in most cases, the end of the internship is basically the end of the whole IST story. So you just fill out your CV, maybe a report, go to the world, and never ever care about IST again. Um, what I think maybe is the biggest flaw in our system, or at least in Hungary, that we are not giving them enough information about what we are doing. So they don't really, I mean, those who are interested in what we are doing can always get the information and turn to us to answer all their questions. But generally speaking, we don't really provide enough information for them, like what is IST, how can they be active after the internship, and they don't really know about the alumni network after the internship is completed, and they don't really want to become members, but they still can be active part of the community. So after the project, the prospect profile mapping, we also did a value mapping where we basically have the service and product also with the game creators, so and the pain relievers. And as part of this, so we did it all together for former members and former trainees. So we did not get different categories here. What we can provide to our alumni is local, national, regional, and international activities, which we can organize. For example, a couple of years ago, we had the AAC, the Annual Alumni Conference. In Hungary, when we had the CC, we also invited our alumni. I know in some country they have local and national alumni events. And basically we can make a calendar for the IST alumni to make sure that they have all the necessary information. Also, with our current social media platforms, LinkedIn included, we can have groups where they can connect with each other. We can also have newsletters and bulletins where we can inform them like what is going on currently at the moment and how they can be involved in these activities. And we can provide an email address or something like this as a contact person or on the way to contact us if they would like to do something for us and with us. The game creators regarding alumni is basically they can have an impact on our everyday life. They can have an impact on how the association is going and what we are doing. They can always support our mission. And yeah, if they are doing something good, simply they will feel good about themselves, or hopefully this will be. Also, they can provide us business and career opportunities, not just for trainees or not just part of the exchange program, but also for the members. Maybe they will do some kind of mentoring program with the members, or maybe they can provide also internship position or positions for the members as well. They can always reconnect, have fun with our or with their old friends and let's say colleagues in IST. And also what I can tell from personal experience as well is that any kind of help is highly appreciated, and those who are active Hungarian alumni are always welcome to anything, welcome to all of our events, and they can do whatever they want. Everything is highly appreciated because during our almost 40 years, we learned a lot from them, and we are really grateful for their work and also all their support. Okay, and the pain relievers. So basically, what can make our life easier? We need to have a clear way how they can become IST alumni and what they can do. We have all our social media platforms which we can use to connect with them. They can also contact with us. We should provide the possibility to them to be able to sign up for different activities, what we are doing. So they should be familiar with our program on local, national, maybe not regional, but regional as well, and definitely international level. We need to coordinate activities to them. And we also, if they are not interested in our activities, at least what we can do is provide a platform for them to be able to get in touch with each other, and they can organize whatever they would like. Okay. And the next couple of slides will contain some information from the Strategy 2025 survey, which was done approximately a year ago. And here you can see that almost 2/3 of the countries have some kind of alumni database. In some cases, it's in progress. Trust you when I say it's pretty hard work to build up a network from zero experience and from zero information, but it's absolutely worth it. Also coming from this survey, you can see here that in Europe and in Asia Pacific, we have a lot of countries or a lot of NCs with active alumni network, but the rest of the world is also step by step coming to the same level. Next slide is like, how can we engage with them and how do they engage with those alumni? As you can see, the direct contact of the physical meetings are, I think, the most effective. But we have, as I mentioned before, social media and also newsletters. So basically, we have a lot of platforms where we can connect with them. And here you can see that roughly 1/3, a little more than 1/3 of the alumni are employer at the moment. So this survey was done before the COVID pandemic, but hopefully this number will rise up and more alumni will be involved in our everyday life, and hopefully they will be employers again. And what the future brings to the alumni task force and also to the topic connected to this one is basically what we have to do is we need to get in touch with our alumni, those who are active and those try to reach out for those who are not active anymore, and ask them what do they expect from us and what we can do from them. So what I think is that when we ask for help from our alumni, it's the first step is to get to know what we can do for them, and if we do our part, then we can ask for some help from their side, because what we are doing, and we are doing it wrong in Hungary, as we don't really care about most of the alumni, most of the activities, they are not involved, and we only ask them if we have some kind of problem. But this is what I would like to change here on national level, and hopefully this will go around. And basically, what I would like to achieve with the current alumni task force is that have set the ground for a different approach. So first we need to think about what we can do for the alumni, and if we are 100% sure that we are providing them something, then we can ask for their advice or maybe financial aid. And for this, we need to collect information about the currently working alumni network, like how big is their database, what kind of data do they store, and how they keep it up to date. How many years back do they look? So just a couple of years or maybe even a decade or more. And also, we have like one unified alumni definition, but each and every country can do it on their own. And we need to learn who they consider alumni. In most cases, it's the former members, but in some cases, former trainees and also former employers are considered as alumni, and that specific LC or NC has some kind of information about them. And in the end, the big question is how to build up the network. But I think that will be the plan for 2025, because if we collect all the information, we need to come up with some kind of guide, and we need to test it on national and international level. If everything is working, then we can tell, to the GC and through the GC to the countries that the alumni network is or how to build up the network, and we can provide them this kind of guide on how to build it up. And yep, from my side, that was the serious part, I guess. What we have done so far the last 1.5 years. What I can tell you is that the way in Hungary, let's say, not the best word, but use our alumni, is that our honorary president is also the founding father of IST Hungary. He's always invited to all of our events. He was there at the CC in 2018 in Sopron when we did it. And if everything goes well, and hopefully there won't be a fourth or fifth or whatever number COVID wave, then he will be also with us at the AC in Austria, Vienna. I'm not really sure where it will be. But yeah, that's all from my side. And I would like to give the floor to Anna Maria to share the stories.
And Anna Maria, as you're getting on, thank you so much for your information. Very insightful. It is so difficult to reach and connect with alumni and to find out what things are that we can do for them, especially the older alumni. You know, and in some cases we have found that just plugging them in for mentorship is a great thing. But again, it's not easy to find out what they want because you can't ask them for something until you make them realize why they want to be IST alumni.
Yes.
So it is a very difficult proposition. And I think we're just starting to better understand, thanks to the information that you provided. I'm glad that you have studied this. So you've studied the challenge a lot and have provided us with some ideas on moving forward, but certainly some really good, some good things to think about as we, especially as you bring the members in, think of them as alumni as they're coming into the situation, because then you'll remember to keep in communication with them. So great.
Actually, this was like a
say.
Sorry,
You
okay.
first.
So sorry. So this was like a joint effort for the alumni task force. So it wasn't just me.
Of course.
So it's Alumni Task Force 2020. So.
Well, and I put in the chat, one of the first Americans that went to Hungary was in 1987, and that was we found him on LinkedIn, so that's how we track them.
Okay.
And I wanted just to say that this presentation was really nice, and actually when you put yourself, like when you become alumni and put yourself in their skin, you actually realize that Gabor really wrote everything so correctly and so truth. And sometimes we, even in Croatia, we have a lot of alumni who are really successful, who are really nice, who are always open to help. But we also have problems because we remind them in the last moment, and of course they have their personal lives and professional lives, and then it's sometimes, I think it's sometimes all of us actually forget, because alumni are not so much or not at all physically there at the meetings, and sometimes you forget about them, and then when you contact them you actually can see a lot of motivation there and inspiration, and why they did the same thing, like become an IST member, how they solve some problems. You get some really good ideas, and it's such a shame because we sometimes forget that they actually exist and they can help us in the hard moments. Yep. So also as a part of this workshop, I would like to continue with some funny stories that we collected. The last one, mine, I saved for the end, because of course it's going to be fabulous. And and yeah, I will read 3 of them. First one is someone from Brussels, some alumni wrote it. It's written that Belgium Standard Pub crawl planned 10 bars to visit. One international person was bragging about his drinking skills. We carried him home after bar number 2. I think that's typical IST problem. You like to brag and then you're the worst in the group. These were still just the bars to warm up the pub crawl. People probably have similar story, but after number one, in Poland, they bring you to the bus stop and you sleep there. Alcohol is part of IST culture. So I think all of us who went to internship or who have students that totally agree with this one, and they had like similar stories to tell. Second one, guys from Belgium, Tim and Joan, who are alumni members, wrote, "It was a twinning time. IST grads from Austria came to Brussels and the program was packed, but someone wanted to visit the EU neighborhood and it was not on the schedule. So after the barbecue and beer tasting at the university at 1 a.m., we took some public shared bikes and went to explore it at night, making detours to see the buildings and bring them back to the Airbnb. IST is always guaranteed adventure." I totally agree. I had also opportunity, like when I started my IST adventure 7 or 8 years ago, I was summer receptionist. So I was like quite included in all funny IST and crazy IST stories. And the last one, unfortunately or luckily, someone wrote for Croatia. Maybe, I'm not sure, but me and Jan are always making some fun because of this event. It wasn't so funny in that moment, but after it is. So IST Croatia was 4 years, no, 2016, it's 5 years already. We were hosts of CC, Central European Convention. And of course, some things were not going in the right direction that time. So yes, I will just a second, my computer broke. Yeah, but I remember it. I even don't have to read it because it was true. So I go through the story. The point was that IST Croatia didn't plan and organized everything well. Yeah, here, my computer. It's like, went to Croatia CC on island of Krk, which is amazing island. Everything looked amazing. Croatian coast is beautiful. Hotel was great. But then, sorry, almost no place for holding the workshops. Putting projector on the trash cans in the halls. So true. International dinner, we ended up on the street. Also truth. As real IST member, we moved everything to the beach, had amazing international evening and party. I have to say, it didn't seem like it will end good, but it was definitely memorable and definitely had the best international evening ever. Place doesn't matter, people do. And IST people are something that kept me in love with this organization for many years. This is why it was amazing at the end. No harsh feelings, Croatia. It was the best CC ever. Yeah, right. Probably lying, but okay. Yes, and the last one is mine. This was one like quite stressful. For me, that was like 7 or 8 years ago. I started as a summer reception coordinator in my LC, Osijek, in Croatia. And I had pretty crazy group of IST trainees. Of course, as a young people, students, we liked to consume alcohol a lot. And it was some party. And in Croatia, the traditional drink in these parts, in Slavonian part, is rakia, which is like special drink. People are making their own rakias at home. So I think that's definitely not a good quality drink. And of course, we get a guy from Scotland, and we brought some rakia, you know, like a good host and nice IST people. And he started drinking it and asked us like, "Is this strong?" And we were like, "Oh, it's strong, same as whiskey, you know, but you should have in your mind that whiskey is quality drink. And rakia is like, we take some plums and make our drinks in our yard. So it's not so secure option." But he was like convinced, I can handle that. I'm, you know, the best. He's the best drinker ever. And it was okay. Whatever you want, we will help you if you get drunk. After that, like in the middle of the night, he was so wasted. We basically brought him home by the taxi. We put him in a taxi like a dead body, basically. And because it was my responsibility, I was so scared. I was like, maybe I just killed a person. So we take him to the dormitory in the morning. I was like coming really early. And because it was like 2 guys in the room, he and 1 more guy trainee, I didn't want to enter those guys. You never know. And I woke up another trainee from Belgium. I say, can you just check the guys if everything's okay? Because I was quite scared. And when he entered the room, first time I was like, oh, screaming. And I was like, oh my God. In my head, I just killed a person. And then I can hear, Alan, dude, you're naked. So in my head, it was like, thanks God, at least he's alive, naked, doesn't matter, he's a live person. So yeah, after that, I really, like this summer was really crazy. And I realized that I really love ISTA people, spending time with them. And that's why I think I took 2 more times this position. I really loved it. Then I became local secretary, national president. Now I'm jump coordinator, and I just love it. So I'm sure if you're a part of ISTA, you will have a lot of amazing stories. Some of them will be scary, some of them will be motivational, some of them will be just inspiring, but all of them definitely will be memorable. Yeah. And if everyone else wants to just share their stories, go ahead with it. Be free to do it.
My stories are too scary, so no, I'm not going to talk about them. But one of them might have happened at the AC in Zagreb. Who knows?
So I have one more. Come on. I haven't been on AC in Zagreb, but Valentina, like my friend, told me that when we were organizing, I think it was 2015, that you know, we had a guy from Serbia, so just neighbors, and somehow he was so drunk, he was just going like on the stairs, and the last stair, so it's like 15 centimeters of stair, it's not like 3 meters difference. He succeeded to broke both of his ankles. Somehow we took him to the hospital, and because he didn't have any health insurance for those few days, we gave him health insurance for our guy. His name was Ivan, and we just told him, like, even our languages are so similar, don't speak anything. We'll say everything for you, so you don't have to pay some massive money. And everything went well. He was really good. We packed him, prepared for home, everything. And at the end, you have to sign up. And because Serbians have different letters, like Cyrillic letter, he signed up in that language. So no one noticed, but it could be really bad. Yeah. But at least he was good to go.
So the moral of that story is let's go to a conference in Croatia sometime. It sounds like a fun time for everybody. I know I enjoyed the AC very much. It was one of my favorites. So and I do remember that event. I didn't know the end of the story, as Keenan said too. We don't remember the end of the story. We knew no one got hurt, thank goodness. But yeah, it's always a great time to go to Croatia. Thank you. So as we're going to close our workshop here, as you know, the theme of our workshop is, sustainability. And so we thought we would conclude with probably a video maybe you have seen, but it's certainly from a person or persona who represents sustainability in the 21st century. So after that, we will have our formal closure, but we'll have one more video, and hopefully you'll recognize this person. And please stay on afterwards for the closing bell.
was about 8 years old, I first heard about something called climate change or global warming. Apparently that was something humans had created by our way of living. I was told to turn off the lights to save energy and to recycle paper to save resources. I remember thinking that it was very strange that humans, who are an animal species among others, could be capable of changing the Earth's climate. Because if we were, and if it was really happening, we wouldn't be talking about anything else. As soon as you turn on the TV, everything would be about that. Headlines, radio, newspapers. You would never read or hear about anything else, as if there was a world war going on. But no one ever talked about it. If burning fossil fuels was so bad that it threatened our very existence, how could we just continue like before? Why were there no restrictions? Why wasn't it made illegal? To me, that did not add up. It was too unreal. So when I was 11, I became ill. I fell into depression. I stopped talking, and I stopped eating. In 2 months, I lost about 10 kilos of weight. Later on, I was diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome, OCD, and selective mutism. That basically means I only speak when I think it's necessary. Now was one of those moments. For those of us who are on the spectrum, almost everything is black or white. We aren't very good at lying, and we usually don't enjoy participating in the social game that the rest of you seem so fond of. I think in many ways that we autistic are the normal ones, and the rest of the people are pretty strange. Especially when it comes to the sustainability crisis, where everyone keeps saying that climate change is an existential threat and the most important issue of all, and yet they just carry on like before. I don't understand that, because if the emissions have to stop, then we must stop the emissions. To me, that is black or white. There are no gray areas when it comes to survival. Either we go on as a civilization or we don't. We have to change. Rich countries like Sweden need to start reducing emissions by at least 15% every year. And that is so that we can stay below a 2-degree warming target. Yet, as the IPCC have recently demonstrated, aiming instead for 1.5 degrees Celsius would significantly reduce the climate impacts. But we can only imagine what that means for reducing emissions. You would think the media and every one of our leaders would be talking about nothing else, but they never even mention it. Nor does anyone ever mention the greenhouse gases already locked in the system, nor that air pollution is hiding a warming, so that when we stop burning fossil fuels, we already have an extra level of warming, perhaps as high as 0.5 to 1.1 degrees Celsius. Furthermore, does hardly anyone speak about the fact that we are in the midst of the 6th mass extinction, with up to 200 species going extinct every single day. That the extinction rate is today between 1,000 and 10,000 times higher than what is seen as normal. Nor does hardly anyone ever speak about the aspect of equity or climate justice, clearly stated everywhere in the Paris Agreement, which is absolutely necessary to make it work on a global scale. That means that rich countries need to get down to 0 emissions within 6 to 12 years with today's emission speed. And that is so that people in poorer countries can have a chance to heighten their standard of living by building some of the infrastructure that we have already built, such as roads, schools, hospitals, clean drinking water, electricity, and so on. Because how can we expect countries like India or Nigeria to care about the climate crisis if we, who already have everything, don't care even a second about it or our actual commitments to the Paris Agreement? So, why are we not reducing our emissions? Why are they in fact still increasing? Are we knowingly causing a mass extinction? Are we evil? No, of course not. People keep doing what they do because the vast majority doesn't have a clue about the actual consequences of our everyday life. And they don't know the rapid changes required. We all think we know, and we all think everybody knows, but we don't. Because how could we? If there really was a crisis, and if this crisis was caused by our emissions, you would at least see some signs. Not just flooded cities, tens of thousands of dead people, and whole nations leveled to piles of torn down buildings. You would see some restrictions, but no. And no one talks about it. There are no emergency meetings, no headlines, no breaking news. No one is acting as if we were in a crisis. Even most climate scientists or green politicians keep on flying around the world, eating meat and dairy. If I live to be 100, I will be alive in the year 2103. When you think about the future today, you don't think beyond the year 2050. By then, I will, in the best case, not even have lived half of my life. What happens next? The year 2078, I will celebrate my 75th birthday. If I have children or grandchildren, maybe they will spend that day with me. Maybe they will ask me about you, the people who were around back in 2018. Maybe they will ask why you didn't do anything while there still was time to act. What we do or don't do right now will affect my entire life and the lives of my children and grandchildren. What we do or don't do right now, me and my generation can't undo in the future. So when school started in August this year, I decided that this was enough. I sat myself down on the ground outside the Swedish parliament. I school striked for the climate. Some people say that I should be in school instead. Some people say that I should study to become a climate scientist so that I can solve the climate crisis. But the climate crisis has already been solved. We already have all the facts and solutions. All we have to do is to wake up and change. And why should I be studying for a future that soon will be no more, when no one is doing anything whatsoever to save that future? And what is the point of learning facts within the school system, when the most important facts given by the finer science of that same school system clearly means nothing to our politicians and our society? Some people say that Sweden is just a small country and that it doesn't matter what we do. But I think that if a few children can get headlines all over the world just by not going to school for a few weeks, imagine what we could all do together if we wanted to. Now we're almost at the end of my talk. And this is where people usually start talking about hope. Solar panels, wind power, circular economy, and so on. But I'm not going to do that. We've had 30 years of pep talking and selling positive ideas. And I'm sorry, but it doesn't work. Because if it would have, the emissions would have gone down by now. They haven't. And yes, we do need hope. Of course we do. But the one thing we need more than hope is action. Once we start to act, hope is everywhere. So instead of looking for hope, look for action. Then, and only then, hope will come. Today, we use 100 million barrels of oil every single day. There are no politics to change that. There are no rules to keep that oil in the ground. So we can't save the world by playing by the rules, because the rules have to be changed. Everything needs to change, and it has to start today. Thank you.
So we chose to end with that video because, again, we didn't want to end on an unhopeful note, but we kind of have to. I think she made the point is that we have to start taking actions. We are, all of us, the privileged of societies, in our own societies. We're educated. We have the opportunities to make differences. So I hope that you've learned something in the sessions we've had during this conference, and that you've made networks and contacts and people that can help you raise your voice to help make real change for climate change and sustainability. So with that, thank you very much. And I'll turn it over to Keenan and to close the celebration.
Okay, so definitely want to thank everyone for joining it over this past 3 days. And before we go any further, we have a surprise for our guests who are students. If you are a student and on right now, please share with me your mailing address. You can send it privately, as we have some gifts we'd like to send to you. So we're definitely thankful to have had some students online that were very active throughout the entire conference, and so we want to definitely send you a gift for your participation. So please, again, send me your information, your mailing address. You can send it privately. Please include your full name in that message as well. And with that, before we go any further, I'm going to hand it off to Jill to close us out. But we definitely want to give a very formal thank you to Anna Maria for all the work that she did in putting this conference together. She did an exceptional job in just rounding off our speaking list and making sure that we were doing what we needed to do and that this conference ran smoothly. So before Jill closes us out, I wanted to hand the mic over to Anna Maria in case she'd like to have some words in closing as well.
So I told you already that I was really happy to have opportunity to work with you guys. I had actually some previous experience working and communicating with Dan, and not because you're a board member and I should like you, I really like you. So it was really amazing experience to work with him, to work with you guys. You're really open-minded to everything I suggested. You came up with really good ideas. You are giving your best to do a quality organization, to be everything on time, to really make to listen all the IASTA members and important topics in 2021 and in this COVID situation and everything. I'm really honored to have opportunity to work with you. I hope this is not the last time, because if the IASTA USA applies anytime more for JUMP or any other conference, I would like to be part of it. I definitely want to thank you all, because you really gave your best, and it was really visible in all of the meetings, and I really and truly enjoyed it. Yes, I really like the gifts at the end. I'm not student, but I don't mind if just like by accident any arrives in Croatia. It's perfectly fine for me. Yes, I also want to thank you all the participants. Even if this year wasn't like too many participants, you're quite active, you're listening everything, you're making a lot of questions, and I think that's important. I hope all of the participants were motivated and inspired by this conference, and they will try to change at least some small things in their LCs or countries. At the end, the change is going to be big. You need just a bit more time. And yes, thank you guys for amazing. jump. I enjoyed it. I think you did a great job. And whatever you need, I'm here for all of you. So be free to contact me.
Great. Thank you so much, everyone. I just wanted to also say thank you for just your consistency and just being so engaging and just showing up every day. We super appreciate it. And we just want to also emphasize that you're welcome to follow us on Instagram. It's on the screen, ISA.United States. Also, you can follow ISA Jump on Facebook. And again, on Facebook, you can rewatch, like, or even reshare a lot of our live videos on there if you would like. And lastly, we hope to see you at the AC conference. So thank you so much. And don't forget to message Keenan about your shirt, but also you can also email ISA at culturalvistas.org if you would like. I can put that in the chat as well with your size and your name and your address. Great. So have a good day.
Thank you, everyone.
Didn't you also mention that there was a prize to win, or is it the stuff with the t-shirts? You're muted.
You'll get it, Felix, as long as you send us your email. As long as you send us your email and address, you'll get your prize.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. Have a nice day.